Hello and welcome to another episode of Frame and Reference. I'm your host, Kenny McMillan, and you're listening to episode 142 with my good friend, DP Larry Fong. Enjoy. These were the card sheets that got you here. What? Oh, so this is an uncut. What are they? What was that? The tally ho, the black and silver tally hos that illusionist made, and then this is a gaff deck that. What was that? There was like a specific DVD set that I feel like. I'm blanking on everyone's name now. Dan Garcia and Wayne Houchin made. They made like a specific DVD set where this gaff deck was like a big part of it. The Ultra Gaff. There we go. I have one right there. Yep. I could have looked right there and had everyone's name. Anyway, yeah, so those have been there for over a decade now, and they get absolutely obliterated by the sun.
Wow. Yeah, Daniel Garcia sat right here at this very table doing magic, late night magic.
How'd you guys meet?
It's very funny. The magic world, I mean, I've always been interested in magic since I was a kid, but it took a jump start about 20 years ago when I happened to become friends with a guy named Homer Leewag, and he and Chris Kenner are David Copperfield's right-hand men. Mm. So, they're based in Vegas. And one time when I was out there visiting them early in our friendship, the magic convention was in town. I don't know if you know what those are, but they're like salesmen conventions, but they're more akin to like Star Trek conventions because it's just a bunch of nerdy guys, 90% male, walking around talking about magic and buying magic things, and just
probably smells vaguely better.
But more interesting than Comic-Con. Not more interesting, but
these days, absolutely.
Well, at least there's females at Comic-Con. It's
true.
There's more and more magicians though, female magicians, which is very cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, since the convention was in town, I ended up meeting all of my heroes, like the ones you're mentioning, and became fast friends because, I don't know, partly maybe they were fascinated because I was in filmmaking and everyone loves films, of course, and then that just kind of took off. So I'm friends with, most of my friends are probably more magic friends than filmmaking friends right now. Oh, look.
Cat. I've got, how's the cat doing? I saw in an interview that you were talking about how the cat had like cancer or something a while back. Or had to get radiology or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's when he was only a few years old. He had cancer and he survived it, and there he is 15 years later.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Because I saw the white patch, and I wasn't sure if that was like part of it or if that was just...
Yeah, for the radiation. They had to shave him to do the radiation. There was just a skin patch. It was so sad. And then about a year later, then the hair started growing back, but white. So he has this white spot on him. It's like a reminder. It's very cool. And you can see him from far away and on webcams if he's ever at a boarding place. It's identifier.
Yeah. We've got these two, we adopted these two like brothers. They showed up to the adoption place. But one of them is 25 pounds and at length probably about 4 feet long. He's just like a dog. Like he's fucking huge. But they're they've been in a shelter for so long that they're wary of us. So it's just like, it's literally just like having exotic animals in the house where they don't really want us to touch them, but they're there. And because he's so big, he'll just end up on top of stuff. So he'll be like putting on a jacket and you'll look up and he's just staring at you. Like, oh, jeez.
It's a long cat.
It's a very long cat. I'll show you a photo where that later. I'll send it to you. Do they do magic conventions anymore?
Oh yeah, this one I'm talking about, Magic Live, is every year. It's amazing because you see the friends that you haven't seen for a year from all over the world, and it's just a big love fest. And the big one's Magic Live. That's in Vegas every year, which you should go to.
Fuck yeah, dude.
August, September, something. It's like a long weekend, 3-4 days, and the hotel is cheap to stay in. A big one is also I'm just blanking out. Magifest, which is in the Midwest somewhere. And then there's various little ones, but Magic Live is the big one in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, and in England, Blackpool is the big one. Gigantic, crazy one.
I mean, if I had Blackpool money, I'd go. But Vegas one's a little more accessible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to NAB in a couple days. Like, that's way less fun, in my opinion. Have you hit the NAB before?
It was very fatiguing. I did actually. I was going to go with Homer, who's also a photographer. But we were stalling, as you do, and we're on the last day, and then we got there about 3:00. We didn't know they close at 4 or something like that.
Oh, on the last day, yeah.
And so we were there running around for an hour. It's very embarrassing. But yeah, I like those things, but it's a little fatiguing. And then you keep running into people, and you just want to, not be distracted.
Yeah. I was going to say, what kind of things do you even learn from an NAB? Because, I feel like they would rather have you at a booth and just be like, well, you just ask him questions versus oh, this is a new XLR cable we invented.
You're right. It is to see some equipment to nerd out, but it's not. That's the sad thing, right? The equipment is important, but it's also a curse. And then you go there and there's a lot of amateur people like, can I join that Steadicam? And running into people that you want to see, but you just don't have the time. So that's why it's a bit fatiguing. But thanks to the internet, you can keep track of equipment that way. But I guess you'd want to touch things, look at them. But that's the nerdy side of it, right? That's the equipment side. You're not learning about your craft, but it's an important thing to learn your tools too. But yeah, I only go occasionally when I'm roped into it.
Yeah, this year I think it's almost, aside from the various, out of nowhere, I'm not the biggest aperture stan. I know that's a big thing online. Everyone just, they're affordable and they're good. So hell yeah. They just came out with a 12 by light mat.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I saw it the other day. Actually, it's 8. It's an 8 by, and it's, you can connect 4 of them to make a 16 by 16 by overhead. And it's inflatable. So it's insane. I saw it at some event last weekend, speaking of which, and it was incredible. I have to say, it's like a light mat, but oh my God, the design it's very cool.
Yeah, I think they've absolutely jumped the line with that. Having not even seen it, just seeing the ad, I was like, okay, that's something that everyone's going to end up using.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit because you have to lay it down and inflate it, and then you put a frame around it and then lift it. So the first time will be hard for grips and electrics, but after that, it makes a lot of sense. The little ones, by the way, the reason I fell in love with them, because the little lights they have,
the MCs,
those all day, every day on everything I do.
Yeah. Have you used the Astera Hydra panels?
No.
They're obviously the same company makes the tubes, but the Hydra panels are that big. So I don't know, maybe.
Oh yeah. The Hydras. Yes, of course.
Yeah, the bricks,
yes.
the Astera bricks. They got the magnet on the back.
Yes. Hydras, yes.
For whatever reason,
on the last couple movies.
Yes, again.
I used those on the last couple movies only because the gaffer had them.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how easily everyone thought, yeah, tubes, 100%. And then I got the Hydra panels, and I was like, I don't know. This isn't tube shaped. I don't know what to do with this. Building it
with those
sets.
honeycombs on them, right? And they can be a very this weird promo, but I did this movie called Damsel. It's on Netflix right now, and we had to suddenly
thank God.
do this.
I was like, what do we promo on this?
There's a scene that's in a ship, and then the Robin Wright, the queen, comes down to steal off the young girl, and Angela Bassett is there. So it's in this hull of a ship, and it's tiny, right? It's 10 feet wide, but 20 feet wide, low ceiling, couple lanterns. And I go, where do I put the lights, right? It's night. So up in the behind the beams, just wherever somebody was, we just stuck a Hydra with a grid on it. I mean, what else can you do? There's no rhyme or reason. So the girl's over there, standing next to the thing. Boom, there's a little spot on her, but with the right color and the right, not too bright, it looks natural.
Right.
Angela Bassett's here. There's one there, but she gets pushed over here. So now there's another one there, and then the queen's here. So point, and they're all they're that thin, so they were just screwed into the ceiling.
Yeah.
And that was the whole shop. Just about 6 Hydras pointing where they needed to point.
The thing I love about those versus the MCs, I love the MCs. I got 5 of them. No, 4 of them. Does that matter? But is just being able to put XY coordinates into them.
Yeah.
I'm a big color meter nerd. The second I got a color meter, I've just like everything. Why shouldn't they all match? Right?
Yeah.
Like now that I have the tools, why would I bother eyeballing it, or hoping that a light would get close? So just being able to put that in the iPad and have them all like match the incoming window light or whatever it is, spaceship light, it's like, it's so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I did see in an interview. First of all, I've got to say, like, I've always said that, like, weirdly, like, The Matrix and Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory are like the two movies that got me into filmmaking. But the more I was thinking about it, I think 300 solidified me wanting to be a DP.
Wow.
I had never no one did that. That wasn't 300 was unique when it came out, right?
Yeah.
But I saw in an interview that you had been inventing, or someone, maybe your gaffer, invented like some tube lights for the grid or something like that. Like there were like a lot of DIY things going on for that lighting setup, all those overheads.
Yeah, that story is not as interesting as it is a nice coincidence, which is we were going to be shooting these big stages, and I thought, well, they're not really stages, they're warehouses, as we often do. And I just told the gaffer on the preliminary scout, I mean, this whole thing has to be top lit, or at least have top light, even depending how much we're going to use. And I go, how are we going to rig this whole thing? Like, there's so many warehouses and so many scenes. Like, how? And I need it to be sometimes neutral and then tungsten, and sometimes I need a blue for the night stuff. Like, how do we can't gel all these warehouses? And he said, oh, the last movie we did was what's that disaster movie? Something Day After Tomorrow? No, it's
I mean, that's one.
With the German director.
Let's go with Day After Tomorrow until
no, it's not Day After Tomorrow. It's whatever it was, big disaster movie. The world's coming to an end, and he said they made these lights that back then it would be space lights, right? Now we have other softbox tubes, whatever, sky panels. Back then it was always space lights, and that wouldn't make sense. So they made he had these aluminum rods, and spaced every so often was a 2K lamp in them. Sockets. So imagine a bar or a tube, a pipe, and every so often was a 2K.
Just bare bulb.
So imagine it's like a lightsaber. It's like, and then they were just long pipes, aluminum, less than speed rail,
right?
But you could just put a rope around them and take them up. And they had tons of them. So they're just lined. You just instantly rig them and take no time at all. And then we just put those everywhere. So they weren't space lights. They weren't anything. They're the one-offs.
Right.
But he already had them in storage. So then I said, well, what happens like when we need to go blue? We can't gel those. He goes, oh no, we had silks made, and then we also have silks that were dyed blue.
Incredible.
From the last movie. I'm like, that was when he wasn't even hired yet. And I go, you know what? You're hired.
Yeah. Just for those.
Yeah. So that made everything so much easier.
Having a CTB silk made must be like, who does that? Like, there's got to be a company that can make that photochemically, I don't know what you want to call it, like accurate. That's got to be a job.
Well, I don't know if it's accurate. It was in Montreal. They just had it dyed. I don't think there was a place that does it for a living.
Oh, sure.
I just hate business. Kind of a niche thing. Yeah. We will dye any fabric to your XY. No, it was not calibrated to anything by any means, but I just took it.
Yeah. What would you, just thinking about that, like, do you think?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Sorry to interrupt. You know what we did? We used those blues all the time.
Oh, it was just permanent.
Yeah, right. You wouldn't switch them out because if it was supposed to be daytime, it was kind of sky blue.
Right.
And then I wouldn't rate the film, but I mean, I would time it everything slightly warmer so that it would be warm down here or neutral, and that would be cooler, like sky. And then at night, I would time everything slightly cooler so that blue would be more blue and be like moonlight. Right. That's what I did. I remember now.
And I have a note here that says no DI, but was there a DI on 300? There had to have been.
Yes, there was a DI, but it was very minor because 90% of it was done everything went through the VFX pipeline, every single shot. How we got that look, right?
Right.
You can't do that in the DI. You can do all you want in Final Cut. You're never going to get that look because there was this secret, like Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe that's in a vault that nobody knows.
Right.
So I do have the document and stored somewhere, but it's all these steps from VFX, through Shake and Quake and whatever they did, and Photoshop and all these steps to get that look, which was a lot of testing. We only got that halfway through the movie, half the look, knowing that we were going to improve it later. So going into it, we only kind of half figured out that look. Because we did go into the DI, which back then was just the telecine, right?
Right.
And we did some tests, and Zach was in there and playing with the thing. He goes, yeah, that's cool. And I go, well, it looks a little music video-y. I think everyone can do that look. I think we need to not just do those tools. Like, don't do the blow out the whites and brush the blacks. And
right.
Every music video, there's got to be more. And then we got look development people into it and did more of a secret sauce that I think no one's done to this day.
Really?
You see people try on TV shows or commercials or parodies. It's not quite the look, right?
Right.
I don't know. You tell me maybe.
I remember in college, I think the best we had was like Magic Bullet, because Resolve was still, you had to buy the console. And I think everyone just went, oh, it's bleach bypass. But it was this very kind of pastiche, like, oh, if you make a black and white and overlay it and set the mode to, soft light or whatever, that bleach bypass, you're done. That's the 300 look,
Really? No, that's the 7 look.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that and Watchmen both. I think, speaking of the children yearning, I think the children yearn for that look now. I don't know if it's necessarily film, because we were talking earlier about like the film look, cinematic and shit, but like something about that like hyper realist actual reality, I think people are looking more and more for, because it's clean and legible, but still outside of reality. We get reality every day, right? So that look you guys developed, I think, is something that people are still, I don't think they realize they're aiming for, but they talk about, around it. That's my opinion.
Interesting. Which is, it's funny because my approach, if there is an approach, is usually just natural and motivated and kind of invisible in a way.
Yeah.
Which is funny because a lot of people tell me that doesn't seem like what I'm seeing, but that's the start, I think. If I had a shot looking like your shot, you look like your webcam now, not webcam, but I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
100% happy.
I didn't know that you and now we're just doing this, but I didn't know you and Zach went to school together.
Yeah. We went to Art Center. We were in the same class, and I just remembered thinking he was super cool and talented, and I wanted to be friends with him, basically. We became good friends, and I shot most of his projects there. And yeah, we're friends to this day. So I don't know if that's 30 years ago or what, but yeah.
Was he always... I kind of wanted to know, just from your perspective, like, because he's such a visual director, especially talking about like music videos and stuff. Like, whenever I think like Under Armour commercial, that's always like, did he invent that? I don't have the classic Under Armour commercial. Was that him? Like the slow-mo, the backlit football field, usually it's like there's rain probably. Like, I imagine.
I don't think I shot that one because a lot of times he shot it himself or used other DPs because I was usually off somewhere.
Right.
But I do remember him always mention Under Armour, so I wouldn't be surprised. But pretty sure he did shoot some of those, but I don't know which one you're talking about.
Oh, no, yeah, I just meant in general. Like, I feel like he established the visual language for Under Armour for a decade.
No, he was very visual in school. He'd gone to art school in London before that, and he would paint and draw. And all his stuff was always visual. To him, like, the visual is everything. Even in his simple Super 8 projects, he would always go the extra mile. And that's why I knew, like, this guy's going to go far. Yeah. Because you probably know the famous story of where he did a short film, which I shot, and he actually dug trenches in his backyard to be like World War I
Oh, I don't know this now.
World War II. And he got uniforms of Nazi soldiers, and had his wife hold the hose with made rain, and crazy. He would do whatever it took. So yeah, he is definitely the real deal.
But does working for it's probably hard to find another director that's as visual as him, but does working for a director who has such an eye for cinematography make your life easier or harder?
I think say easier, because I was a little spoiled, because to shoot with him at the beginning, when you can work with a friend that you know so well and have a shorthand with, and there's no ego in the way or pissing contests, and also you know what he's going for. I was a little spoiled, and maybe to my detriment, because at the beginning, he would grab the finder and find all the shots, and he knew them anyway because he would storyboard most of his films. So he was finding the shots and choosing the lenses, which directors do a lot. But I'm just kind of watching and looking at him, talking to the operator, and go, okay. And then so I'm mainly doing the lighting and protecting him. Right. So I think in the beginning, I started to the finding shots bit and storyboarding and shot listing started to atrophy a bit, working with him. But I got to concentrate on the lighting. As you see, I think it was a good working method.
Yeah.
But that's something I've had to relearn, definitely, after, working with other directors. To the point where I just did a film where I got to do pretty much all the shot listing and shot list, which was so fun. And here's a funny thing. There's a movie I did 3-4 movies ago called Rescue Rangers, Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Yeah. It's a cartoon live action thing, which nobody saw, which actually I'm super proud of, because Akiva Schaffer directed it, and it was...
Oh, he's funny as hell.
Funny as hell, also serious director. You think, looking at him, you think he'd be a crazy like Taika Waititi or something, but he's actually more like Fincher, and he knew exactly what he wanted to and could articulate it all. And actually explain why something was funnier or not. He's a fascinating guy.
That's actually huge.
Yeah, but he would just push me and say, like, go further. But this is boring. And normally someone would be insulted, right? And he was like, go crazy, because I told you this would be like, this should look like a Bruckheimer film. Like, you're barely doing it. Like, this is not what I hired you for. But in a half joking way, right?
Right.
What you really want to hear, strangely,
right,
like that Chipmunk movie. But if you see it, you will see like every frame I'm proud of. And by the way, just to my point, since the pandemic happened on day one of that shoot in prep, I ended up not storyboarding, but learning Maya so that I could basically design a lot of the shots and do a lot of the previews myself.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I can barely do Blender.
Still, I'm not dumb, but I'm a little too old to learn Maya. But since there's nothing but time, and I was just dictating over online to people, like, can you pan up?
Right.
Can you pan left, right, a little, push in this much? They're like, why? And it was so weird that I had to articulate to someone why I was making those choices, because you don't do that.
Right.
You just do it. And then I learned more about why I do things in myself. But I would operate even like push-ins and like the handheld, or like operating on a CG shot of the chipmunks.
Right.
But I was doing that in Maya, and the animators were using that information to do the shots. A lot of it, anyway.
That's actually fascinating, because the only time I've ever thought about that is when they had, like, I don't know, like Deacons do Rango or something, where they gave them like the iPad, like the motion tracked iPad. You had to do that all in Maya?
Well, we did have that iPad thing in the studio. Okay. Since the pandemic came, we couldn't do that. Oh. So, but I found it, but I liked doing it anyway. Like a couple of shots were handheld. We did that way before. We came in a few days, just a few of us with the team. But I found it really cool. Because, as an operator, when, you're wider, you don't operate much, and the tighter you go, you have to do more operating. When it's a close-up, someone's moving around, like, do I leave the camera? Do I go with every movement? Do I anticipate a little bit and am I a little late? All these kind of weird things. But I was doing it in the computer and with coordinates and keyframes. It was super weird. But again, most people were just, crying during the pandemic, doing nothing and starving. And I'm just like at the computer having a blast, having some clips.
Myself. I mean, I learned Resolve, which,
that's,
to be fair, probably more valuable than Maya for my level of work.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Now I've colored plenty of stuff, actually.
That's good.
Yeah. It's, but you know what it is? It's nice because if someone says, oh, I don't like that, it's like, oh, okay, I'll change it. You know, as a DP, it's like, I don't like that shot. And you're like, well, that's fucking burnt into stone. Like, I don't know what you, please don't hurt me. Like,
Well, that's why I want to learn After Effects and whatnot. I keep trying to, because I figured, I mean, I don't know how it works, if that you can actually do that in a feature film. But when I do the thing, I go to VFX, go, I'm sorry, that light's in the shot. You're going to have to paint that out.
oh,
I wish, God, if I did it myself, they would love me.
you can. I can tell this to you right now. All you got to do is either you get just a clean plate, obviously, when you're shooting, or you get a screenshot, and then you go into Photoshop, and then you do the generative fill just for that chunk, and then just drop that over the image.
Oh, I can do Photoshop, obviously, so I know that.
Yeah, the generative fill thing, you can use it for outpainting. Like it all, I did a dog shit shot in a what do you call it? Corporate interview. It's just bad. So I just cut around the guy and outpainted his entire office with the generative fill and just put him in a different office. And you can't tell. But the client was like, where did you go reshoot this? And I was like, nope. That's just being, because you do it in log, you know, so the LUT still applies correctly and everything. It's awesome.
But in a feature, how would I get those elements and how would I output it and give it back to them, and how
You
I
need a still.
trouble, or is it like ethical things like I did the VFX guy's job? Although I asked, and I'm trying to save them work and save them money. I don't know why they wouldn't. But, you know, there's all these secret political, financial things we don't understand.
Luckily,
I'd be willing to do that.
boss.
Yeah, or like in a commercial where I like, oops, sorry that C-stand's in the shot, but it has to be there, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I don't want to be that guy that makes VFX fix everything, you know?
Oh no. Did you see the VFX reel for Zone of Interest?
No.
Dude, I gotta send you this. It's like every scene has 6 cameras in the frame.
Oh, right, because it's like a reality show with all the things.
Yeah, and they just paint them all out, and there's like a grid up top where they have microphones mounted, so everyone could just.
Oh.
It's all just painted. I'm gonna make a note.
They're to start doing that for like keeping up with the Kardashians, you know.
I know.
Reality shows. They're gonna be cinematic.
It's so cinematic.
They can put purple light bulbs behind any couch.
Yeah.
Later.
In post, there actually, I always use Keeping Up with the Kardashian as my example for when I have to explain the laws behind if you can put sticks down places. I'm like, have you ever seen a reality show like the Kardashians where there's someone Hollywooding an LED panel on a stick, but it's on like a stand, but they're holding it? I'm like, that's the law. As long as someone's holding it, you can't get in trouble. It's not on the floor. You can't get me.
Oh,
But that's a reference from 2003. What should we talk about? Do you want to start a podcast?
talk about nothing.
Yeah. I have. Here's a question. What's the closest deck of cards you have to you?
Oh, right here.
So I got cohorts.
Oh, cohorts are good.
I got small hands. These are very thin, and yeah, I got to do those.
This is the. Oh, it's blanking. The Conjuring Hearts.
Yeah, I literally have a. Do they have their own deck? Or are those?
I forgot what they're.
Are they the superiors?
Are they?
Because I have the black superiors. Yeah. So the superior, those clump up on me. If I use them for longer than like a month, they like get very clumpy.
Well, I have to admit that I have these here because I've repicked them up to do Aussie Wins, the Gypsy Queen, which is amazing. Amazing effect.
I also got these. Deal.
Nuggets. I'm trying to get those remade as Larry's Nugget.
That would be great.
Talk to the, well, I'm not going to say the company because someone keeps promising they'll make them for me, but they keep ghosting me. So I'm going to have to do them myself.
You could use, there's like a popular company that makes like Magic the Gathering cards or whatever. You know, they can make proxies or they'll do any other game. But they make decks of, I don't know the quality, so you'd have to get like a demo. But yeah.
Like 1,000 deck minimum.
No minimum.
Oh, do you mean maker? The making cards? Making playing cards or something like that?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Make cards?
Playingcarddex.com or something like that.
Yeah.
So worst case scenario, you can rip those off and then that'll work. But I got to give this one to you at some point. I'll send it to you. But I interviewed on this podcast. I had to reach out to them. This German team that made the Expert at the Card Table documentary.
Oh, right.
I don't know if you saw that. But they made these Expert at the Card Table cards. And they're like golden green and they're so smooth and they don't get sticky.
Wow.
And I bought a brick of them. I also got this. The world's smallest Expert at the Card Table pocket.
I have one of those.
Well, Conjuring Arts just did a buy one, get one free. So I was like, well, might as well.
Hey, we should start with a card trick.
Yeah, okay.
Because you can always cut this out because it's at the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you have some cards there?
I do.
Okay, randomly, and I'm never going to look at the cards, by the way. They're always going to be below the camera. So
yep.
Pick out 10 random cards.
Okay. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep.
I learned this from Hoyta. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Don't worry, he doesn't listen.
Make the 3 even piles. Oh, I guess that would be 9. Never mind. 9 cards.
9 cards.
So 3 piles. I'm going to do this too, just to in case I have to explain.
Got it.
Okay. So 3 piles of 3 in front of you in a row. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So grab one of those piles.
Got it.
Pick it up and look at the bottom card.
Okay.
Keep looking at it. Burn that in. Don't forget it. Otherwise, we're going to waste 4 minutes of your life.
Yeah.
So now don't put that pile back where it was. Put it on one of the other 2 piles.
Okay.
Okay. So now you have 2 piles.
Mm-hmm.
And we need 1 pile. So do you feel led to put the little one on the big or the big one on the little?
I want to put the big one on the little.
You go ahead and do that. Now, I'm not going to find your card, but the cards are going to find your card. And it's going to be through a magic spell. And what that means is you're going to spell the card.
Got it.
So here, but I'm going to take you through it because it's super weird. So let's say your card is the Ace of Spades. Mm-hmm. You're going to spell A-C-E. Don't do it yet, but you would go A-C-E and then put the rest on top. Mm-hmm. Okay. So whether it's ace or 2 or queen or king, you're going to spell it 1 letter at a time, face down onto the table. But here's the thing, this is why it's weird. You can lie. So let's say it's the ace. You could go A-C-E, plop, or you could say 4, F-O-U-R, put the rest on top. Okay?
Yep.
So in your mind, think of what you're going to spell. But here's the thing, but also do it quietly so I can't listen and like...
Right.
And I can't see them. So go ahead and spell whatever you like, what the card is, or lie. 1 card at a time per letter onto the table, and then drop the remaining ones on top.
Done.
Okay, pick them up again. Now, obviously, every card of, right, like Ace of Spades. So go O-F onto the table, drop the rest on top.
Yep.
Now the value. And this is the final spell, but then I'm going to ask you one more question just so you know. Yep. So if it's spades, clubs, hearts, or diamonds, wait.
Yeah.
Hearts, clubs, spades.
You're doing chased in your head?
No, I was just blanked out like a spade, a suit. So let's say it's Ace of Spades. So you would go S-P-A-D-E-S, but you can lie. So if it was spades, you could also spell diamonds, which is a whole different thing, or clubs, and then you're going to put the rest on top. So in your mind, think of what you want to spell. Go ahead and spell it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not listening. Spell a suit.
Yep.
And then drop the rest on top. Okay? So now you're done spelling, but I have one more question. Don't answer it, but I'm curious if you told the truth, if you were lying, or if you did a little of both. But before you answer, even now you can lie.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your answer?
I did one of both.
Both. So spelled both, B-O-T-H.
Yep.
Drop this on top. Okay, now we're all done. So you see one card, right, staring at the back one right there, right?
Yep.
If it doesn't work, it's not my fault. It's the card's fault. Now, you got to admit, if you spelled anything differently, it would have been a different outcome. I don't know if you really told the truth or lied, or both. That could have been a lie. So even you don't know where your card is.
Right.
And only you touched them, and I haven't been looking at them.
Right.
But now, what was that card you looked at so long ago?
It was 5 of diamonds.
Is that the top card?
Yeah. Well, so here's the funny thing that makes me laugh is because they're cohorts, they're marked.
Oh, they're marked.
For when I look down.
So you did know where they were.
Okay, I didn't even think about it until I looked down. And my natural instinct was to look at the marking, and I just went, "Oh, yep, there she is."
They've tracked it, but
That's
pretty nuts.
That's an excellent one.
And I don't know how that works, by the way, and I'm not kidding.
There are certain there's certainly a thing in the magic community where people like a self-working trick or whatever is looked down on. I'm like, that's excellent. Are you kidding me? Something I can't fuck up? I love that.
Right. Like beginning magicians don't do that, but like my go-tos are pretty much almost self-working.
Yeah. What are your go-tos? Because right now I think I'm stuck in a rut of just constantly doing ambitious cards, various versions of ambitious cards, or just literally leaning on the fact that they're marked and making something up in the spot because I probably have a drink in my hand.
I was in a rut too, but this year it all turned around, or the end of last year. A friend of mine named Ben Earl, who I've always had a lot of respect for, I joined his online community called The Family. Sounds like a cult.
It does.
And he puts out videos every week, and it completely changed the scenario of how my magic is, and also just presentation and technique. This isn't part of the podcast, is it?
Sure. Yeah.
All I can say is Ben Earl. I was a fan of him, but even more so, more than just tricks, just a way of presenting where it's not the way I'm doing card tricks is completely different. I won't go into detail bore you now, but it's worth every penny if you want to join that community. It's a monthly thingy, or just look up some of his books, or go to Vanishing Ink and download one of his tricks, which are almost self-working and mind-blowing on Vanishing Ink. Ben Earl, he's just my hero.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because that's one of the biggest things when we were emailing before about like joining the Magic Castle is it's difficult to put it's let's say easy to do a trick. It's hard to present it. It's how do I phrase this for an audience? Like magic isn't about the trick. It's about the experience.
Right.
And it's hard you need a lot of awareness to create, let's say, a character or a presentation or whatever. So those are things I've always been probably more fascinated in is designing that experience versus the mechanics of the trick itself. Because diagonal palm shift is more fascinating just off rip, but it's not cool if you don't have a whole thing around it. Then it's just, what's the Jerry Seinfeld bit? Like, is this your card? You're a jerk, like.
Yeah. But that's why the top chain is more satisfying than a diagonal palm shift, because it's like, I got away with that.
Yeah.
And I only started doing it recently because I thought that's either going to get caught, or why not just do double lift? But then you realize that when you do double lift, the audience subconsciously knows.
Everyone holds it funny.
Right. If you can tell, then the audience definitely knows.
Like when people
I've been trying to weed the double lift out of all my stuff. What's that?
I was just saying, I hate when people do that, and I'm like, no one does that. That's not a natural movement.
Even the good ones are suspicious. Even you do a double push off with your thumb, it's like, that's cool, but who does that? So a lot of work, like you spent probably 90% of your effort and decades into that, and then it still looks suspicious.
Yeah.
And now I know why. Chris Kenner told me 15 years ago the best double lift is a top change, and I never knew what he meant until 15 years later, last year.
And now you're just replacing. That's actually, I'm taking a note of that too. Just
and it's complete attitude. It's not technique.
right.
And what's funny about what you're saying, as you were saying, what you were just saying about putting it together in the effect, I realized that's what filmmaking is, right? Anyone can look on YouTube and see what cinematic or what slider to use or what light or what LUT or what camera, but that doesn't make you a filmmaker or a director or a DP.
Right.
How it's done or how a movie's made, for that matter. It's funny, everyone knows how movies are made. Everyone knows they're not real. And that's just like what magic is. It's how you apply those things to get a response or an emotion.
When I was in college, I remember and I mentioned this before, but like my directing teacher was like, filmmaking is literally just making people feel the emotion you want them to feel when you want them to feel it.
Yeah, that's good.
And everything else is in service of that. And actually, you play bass, right?
Yeah.
So I play drums.
You know that.
I did some research. But last night I was in my cups because my friend was leaving town, so I was having a good time. And when I get a little drinky, I will just start watching music stuff. And I was just ripping through music, and it occurred to me that the rhythm section in general, because like I was watching some like metal stuff and metal drumming.
What do you play? Sorry, drums. You said
drums.
Okay.
And it occurred to me that the rhythm section. This is all going to make sense. Maybe. I just came up with this last night. Like when people talk, oh, what kind of drums do you play? And I'm like, I just play drums. I don't like, there's no, oh, what do you do? Like metal, jazz? I'm like, it's all the same. And then it occurred to me, there is no such thing as metal drums. Metal is in the guitars, right? Like you can play, the guy I was listening to was basically doing gospel licks in a metal song. And that's just how you describe it, but it's not, it's not built,
right.
A funk groove isn't only for funk. And it occurred to me that like, oh, in a DP, it's like, oh, I make horror films. It's like, but that whatever, that lighting setup doesn't have to be for horror. It can be for comedy if it's in the right thing. There's no assignment for the rhythm section or cinematographers, And so to your point about bringing it all back around, you can look up all the mechanics of it, but until you have experience, you don't know. I can teach you paradiddles, but until you've played it a billion times, you don't know where to chuck them in,
right?
Or when to leave one out, or add some good,
Yeah, you're exactly right. Because you can use, if you're paying attention, if you're a musician, you can say, "Oh my God, they're using that in that song. That's genius." When you hear musicians talk about that, I was listening to Dead Wax podcast yesterday, Ryan Lerner and who's the guy that started Patreon? You know that guy, Jack?
They started Patreon?
Yeah, he's a musician.
Oh, no.
And he has cool channels. But when you hear really good musicians talking about analyzing a song and things they point out that you never would have seen, because, we like music, but they can go deep. It's fascinating. And like you say, like you can put a technique or something and apply it where someone doesn't expect it. And then it's amazing.
Right.
In film. Right. You could have, I'll just use this example. I don't know if it's true, but let's say Dune, which is the future and crazy, but then look at a shot and it will look exactly like a film noir shot that you saw that was filmed 40 years ago. But the exact same composition, contrast, lighting and the background and everything. It's the same principles, but they're updated and they still work. And it's all choices.
Yeah. It is. That does, I think, I was just talking to someone about this the other day where there's so many, I think this is where YouTube falls apart as an education platform. What you need to do is just stalk David McMillan and just whatever he posts online, just take that. But
he's a national treasure.
I was just talking to Jay Holden a couple days ago, and I was like, him and David are probably like the two foremost educators in the space, it seems.
Yeah. Unofficial godfathers of just here's knowledge.
Yeah. But I don't know, like Jay's joke was like, I think he has assistants. There's no way you're on all those forums all at once.
And working and then finding time to just like taking pictures strolling back from work or whatever, right? And also showing the tests that he did. And also here's examples of how we did that shot of this movie and that TV show.
Yeah. God, Maisel looks great. Anyway, where was I going with that? So there's infinite beginners, right? So it's easy to teach, here's how to expose. There are very few experts. And when you're at an expert level as a musician, as a magician, as a filmmaker, now you're basically asked to teach intuition and feeling. And that's, I think, incredibly difficult to even attempt to try to tell other people to believe in themselves. Like just trust, the mechanics, just trust your instinct. Yeah.
At 18, like find your path and what your vision is and your voice.
Yeah. Where do you think what kind of filmmakers were you looking at? Because I saw this right before we got on. You shot the Losing My Religion video?
I did.
That's sick.
It's 1990 or so.
Where did you go? What brought you to that video? And then what made you go from there to like kind of designing your own voice? I assume Zach was kind of a part of it because I feel like you guys have kind of built a look together, but maybe not.
Yes. I mean, you only can do so much in film school, right? Because here's the thing. Like any amateur can always put a light on a stand, but then it takes a next level when you can do overhead light finally.
Right.
Right?
We've got spreaders.
Yeah. Or you can bounce in the ceiling. But here's the thing, like the Nouvelle Vague, like those filmmakers are just bouncing lights in the ceilings and stuff. They're anti-Hollywood. There's bouncing lights everywhere, and like it's hard to beat that.
Right.
I mean, Deakins does that or a form of that. I mean, he didn't invent that, but of course he comes from a documentary background. So a lot of times you go, well, I just bounce off there and be done with it. But what happened was Tarsem directed that video, and he was in the same class as me and Zach in film school. So I did some of his projects too. And then when we discovered space lights, it's like this thing you can haul up on a rope and like we have top light now.
Right.
So we started doing some of that look for some of our weird, surreal projects, and Tarsem's projects in school were very surreal and weird. Yeah. So he did right upon graduating, he started working on commercials and videos right away. Even quicker than Zach, I think, because he was so savvy and he's so smart and talented. And he did several music videos, and they were really good. And then I was doing music videos too at that time, very bad. And he got this REM video, which not a lot of people knew, but I knew because, art school guys.
Right.
REM. So I believe that the DP he wanted to use couldn't do it. And then so I came in, and Tarsem and a lot of people at that time, his contemporaries like Mark Romanek and Fincher, they would always, go to Arcana bookstore and get all the art books, and we go, let's do stuff like this. I wouldn't say they're ripping it off because, looking at great photographers for reference is great, especially in that time of MTV where let's do something artsy fartsy rather than crazy xenon backlights and smoke and
right.
Whatever. Let's do art. And there's a small group that I mentioned, and more.
Spike.
Yeah, they're all doing that technique. So Tarsem, even back in art school, was always the art books and photo books and like, let's get this vibe. So I probably don't have to mention the artist, but there's 2 or 3 that you could probably tell the influence of on Losing My Religion. We had those books, and we're like, how do we get this look?
Mm.
So that was the springboard for all of that. The crazy, wacky camera operating was stuff I was doing on my bad Brab videos on 16 mil.
Yes.
And for some reason, Tarsem wanted to use some of that. Now, the funny thing was we shot that in 35, which was probably my first video on 35. And there's a big difference between using SR and that, I think it was the Canon or Angenieux zoom that everyone used.
Yeah.
Anyway, you could whip that thing like crazy because you could just snap it with your hand, the zoom, and cradle the camera. And, it's almost like the can't touch this video.
Yeah.
Which I think Roger Tonry shot that, and I watched him work, and I go, he's so good at that. But then imagine going to Arri 3 with a 1,000-foot mag and a Cooke 18-100, and trying to do these snap zooms and land on things and without moving, eyebrow on it and everything. So you're like, instead of snap, it's kind of like boing, 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 boing. And you can see that in the video. And my hands or fingers are bleeding because I'm trying to do the snap zooms. Like,
on the
the neural. Like,
yeah.
So I was trying to do that, and it was pretty obnoxious. But so we incorporated that into which is very not photographic, not cinematic. I don't know what it was. Mixed with these lock-offs, mixed with the crazy grading or telecine, and the colors and the crazy production design. Now, did you ever see the Song Exploder episode about the making of that video?
No. I love Song Exploder.
You should see it, 'cause they tell much better than I. But the idea with that video was that Tarsem wanted it to be like Bollywood, which he's very familiar with.
I see.
Being Indian. And so he had the different band members and Michael Stipe doing this kind of very Bollywood type poses and things, and it was not working. So at lunchtime, Tarsem realized it was not working. He went to the bathroom. I think he vomited. He knew it wasn't working, and he came out and he goes, "This isn't working." And Michael Stipe goes, "This is not working." Have the days done, right? Day one was the artsy stuff. Day two was just artsy stuff, no band. So Michael said, "Why don't I just do what I would do? I'll just sing, and won't do much. I'll do a little weird trance dance thing. I don't know. We'll just see what happens." So I threw all that footage away of all this cool stuff. And with him doing the cool stuff that you see him just improvising, that's what that was. I have to say, there's one shot, and you as a DP probably noticed this. There's a shot where Michael's in a chair, and then he starts to get up. Yeah. You know how actors can fake you out with the stand-up?
Yeah.
And he fakes me out, and I tilt up, and I go past him, and I kind of cheekily come battle. So, and I screw that one up, and it's in the video. Do you know the shot I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Totally, because Tarzan goes, "Oh, that's hilarious. Let's leave that in."
Amazing.
And I was mortified. But yeah, every DP goes like, "That was a mistake. They left and right." Yeah.
So as someone, I don't know why I let David Fincher have this hold on me, but now I'm absolutely like the overshoot guy who, like, if it where you'll get an extraction just so you can art direct the camera move.
Yeah.
If the actor fakes you out or whatever, I'm like, nope, I'm fucking tracking their head. We're not missing it. I'm not doing this.
Fincher's great.
Yeah, he is great. So that's the thing. I've asked a lot of DPs about this, where it's like that era of music videos, that 90s, early 2000s kind of was so experimental and so fun. And do you see a modern analog to that? Or are we kind of still in this era where it's like, I hesitate to say like studio mandated, but like it feels like things are kind of rigid at the moment. I am ignorant, so I can say, but I feel like I'm seeing less experimentation and a lot more rigidity.
Well, it's funny because we don't all watch MTV all day, but we do have YouTube and whatnot, and I do see videos that are very impressive and cool. Sometimes I meet young filmmakers that say they want to work with me, and I go, "Why don't you? No, you don't. Find the young, cool, innovative guys. Like that's your job. You need to find something new."
Right.
So by the way, though, like Fincher, who was a little of both. Remember, he was doing music videos and using like Jordan Cronenweth to shoot the videos, stuff like that.
Yeah. Perfect Circle. They had a great.
Yeah,
video, I remember.
Again, can't say enough good things about him. But I will give you this insight. When we started the music videos, no one knew what to do with the art form, if you want to call it that, or MTV. I remember the labels just not knowing what to do. They knew nothing about film, so they go, you just do what you do, which is why people in those days could do those crazy things. And I was witness to this. Pretty soon, they were starting to get savvy, the music labels, and then the band members, the drummer's girlfriend will make a suggestion, and they'll come on the set, and then pretty soon, everything was falling apart, and everyone had an opinion, and then that's when everything started getting diluted, and that's when it was no fun, and that's when I got out of it.
Yeah.
But so there's a perfect analogy to, yes, you're talking like the equivalent of studio interference was everyone had an opinion, whereas before it was just carte blanche. I mean, that's up to a point, because there's one, I remember Tarzan had this idea for a band that he wanted to shoot the whole thing out of focus.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool, right?
I can see that note coming through.
Right. And then, that was where we went too far, and they're going, yeah, but you're going to shoot some parts in focus, right? And this is the thing about Tarzan. We go, nope, you didn't listen to me. Nope, I'm out of here. Goodbye. And like he's always been like that. And but he had crazy ideas like that. And yeah,
I could see that working if you do, because like the classic, none of the spines are facing me. Is it Saul Leiter who has all those photos of like the like condensation on windows? Oh, you have it? Yeah.
Oh, shit. I thought that was the word.
Oh,
Fred Herzog. But yes, I do know.
Oh, I have the Herzog book.
It's right there. It's in the shot. Look.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, mine's all these.
Funny.
What the hell is that? Did you see? It just gave a thumbs up bubble just popped up on your screen.
Not doing anything.
Okay, Zoom is being funny. That was weird. But yeah, I could see you doing that whole music video if it was like that, where like there was something very sharp in focus, and then the action was out of focus, and you had to like lean into. That would be kind of cool,
right? And people have done single shots, you know, in movies and in video, whatever, with a little bit of that.
I mean, that's kind of zone of interest, but not visually. Like emotionally, that's what they're doing. Yeah, it's a fun thought. But so what? Post music video, like what were the kind of the DPs that you were looking up to, or like people you were stealing from, basically
back then?
Yeah. Or I guess becoming more modern, because obviously the we'd already talked about Zach and stuff, but like who when you're left, or even on Damsel, like were you able to kind of get yourself to that project?
Back then there was Derek Walsky and Mark Plummer and people like that. Derek Walsky is still one of my heroes. Like even back then, you know, he was doing a movie and we had lunch and I said, please, can I do second unit on your movie? And he said, no. A lot of people ask me, they do second unit on my movies, and it's kind of, you don't want to do that. It's true. It's not necessarily foot in the door. Who do I look up to now? There's all the usual guys, but the guys that I really admire, I try not to duplicate them. The only thing I can do to try to do what I do is not do. I don't want to mention specific techniques or people, because
sure,
it's not that it would be insulting, but it's more an opinion, because sometimes I'll light a scene and I go, okay, I know how to make this real pretty, and we'll do the whole thing, and then I'll tell the gaffer, like, this looks too pretty. This looks too. My favorite term is, this looks too good, and I just like to see their expression on their face.
Right.
But
you want me to be bad at my job? Thanks, dude. Yes.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
literally. And one of the I try to push the envelope, and here's an example. When I did Batman versus Superman, we're doing the camera tests, and I had Affleck in the bat suit, and I remember what we did before, and I saw what Wally did, who's a neighbor, on the Batman stuff he's done with Nolan, and I started with soft light, like you do in a camera test, big and soft, and you know, you don't want to do too crazy, just want to show the outfit for informational purposes for the studio wardrobe director. And I realized that the soft light on Batman just made it look rubbery. And then I thought, well, why can't we do harder light? Because you know, when you become a DP, you discover soft light, right? And you're like, hey, it's a miracle.
Then you do that for 20 years.
Right. It's the magic thing. So how do you take that, but then also embrace hard light and go, what's the spectrum everywhere in between? So I go, I told the guy, let's point a hard light at him. Like sometimes, by the way, there's no hard light on the set anymore. Right? Like, yeah. There's all LEDs, and do you have anything harder? No, you should ask for something.
Yeah.
So we just got a big 1K. 2K.
We can go find a YouTuber with a 600C.
Right. Or that. Yeah.
There's one down the street. We can go steal it from him.
That's why I have a trunk full of aperture lights.
Yeah.
So I did a hard light on him, and then everyone's like, wow, the costume guy and Zach, like, that looks much better. Yeah, it does. Because guess what? Ben Affleck, whatever age he is, has nothing to do with it. Once you're in a suit, it's black rubber, 2 eyes, and like a mouth.
Yeah. That dude's got to get
anyone's going to say, oh my God, like there's wrinkles on the lips. Like who? And it's going to be nighttime. It's going to be underexposed anyway. We should go as hard as possible on Batman. And this may not seem like such an amazing revelation, but kind of what we did. And my point is that you don't always have to default to what the prettiest thing is.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, by the way, because then you can do hard film noir, nighty stuff. I mean, obviously there's exceptions, not every shot, but yeah, I forgot what point of that was.
Well, it did occur to me that, because we kind of back and forth have talked about people starting, but in your opinion, for the comic book films you've done, like if you were to distill down for a student, like what makes those films look so, like Hard Light being one of them, without thinking too hard, like what makes those comic book films look like that? Like why does Watchmen and Batman look like that versus, Batman Begins or Dark Knight? Besides obviously the different artists.
I don't know.
No. Well, in the back of my head is that huge VFX pipeline.
Yeah, I didn't use as much hard light on Watchmen, but then again, I don't know. Throughout my career, a lot of people are saying, "How do you get those amazing black, those tones in the shadows?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't do anything special. I turn on the light, and I'm not doing anything special to make those black shadows. I guess maybe I'm just not using as much fill. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think it's not that hard to get those rich blacks. You have rich blacks right now. You're fine. Like I'm not trying to be an ass. I just honestly don't.
No, I don't think you are. Like I think there is a lot of kind of the example I'll use is like when people ask what's this shot called, and then you're like, it's a over the shoulder. I don't know, and they're like, no, like what's it called when you do that? And you're like, there isn't a name for it. You just do it. There's not. This isn't not everything has a name. In the same way, it's like not everything has an explanation. It's like that's what it looks like.
Yeah, maybe it's because the set was dark.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Or the colorist. Who was the colorist? Have you used the same colorist for like if you were to like 300 and Watchmen or Batman? Like
all of Zach's movies are Stefan over at Company 3.
That makes total sense.
And a couple other movies without Zach as well. But lately I haven't had. With all this overseas work, sometimes there's stipulations. You have to use this or someone from this country, or in the case of A24, I had to use someone in New York for some reason. But you always seem to be able to get what you want, hopefully. A few of my movies have been done by Dave Cole at Photochem.
Sure.
He did Skull Island. He did Rescue Rangers and Tomorrow War. He's amazing. He also did these movies you may have heard, such as Dune and The Batman. He's done those too, and has a lot to do with the film out process.
Right.
We couldn't do that because you have to be very powerful to do the film out process. But he does his best to get the filmic look on Skull Island and on Tomorrow War. If you look at them, they're pretty filmy, considering they're not film.
I definitely saw Tomorrow War, but that was one of those movies that I was watching late at night and was just like stoked to be watching a action film. But I do remember watching Skull Island and being like, this looks sick. Like I didn't know you had shot it at the time. I was just watching it, but that film really looks great.
Yeah, we spent hundreds of hours in that DI. We pushed that very hard. All kinds of tricks.
Really? Well,
we've seen the shooting as well, but it's not like, we'll fix and post, but also from the choices of lenses, the custom lenses we had that Sasaki made for us at Panavision.
That's the other secret sauce, right? Is having Dan Sasaki on your team.
Those lenses were so original and amazing. Like no one knows where they are. I've never been able to use them since even. But they
took them apart.
Part cook, part size. It was the craziest combo, and no one knows where they are.
That's a bummer. Well, they can't. I think they probably just took them apart and put them in a different. I feel like unless there's like a huge groundswell of support, which would be really weird for like a specific lens set, I bet they just rip them, ditch the housing, rip them apart, and put them in a new set.
All the time. But if I was a big giant DP, then they'd be on the shelf or somewhere. My house,
right.
That'd have been shelf somewhere. Like my set of lenses, like they used to do.
Those rehoused Dune lenses, what the Russian ones,
super cool.
That like burnished bronze thing, sick.
Pretty sick, I have to say.
I can't remember. I think I was talking to, it might have been one of your like second unit DPs. This would have been a long time ago for Skull Island. And they were saying, if I'm remembering correctly, maybe I just watched an interview, but I feel like I talked to this person, that they were saying that like, what was that conversation? Oh, I think the pickup shoots they were doing where you just had to put like a bunch of fake grass in a room and then just top light it and like match stuff. Is that correct?
I don't remember that.
Oh, maybe it was like second unit or something, but
oh man.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Do I have any, I feel like I literally just called you to chat, but I feel like I should have another thing.
Good. You start wanting to talk about like artsy fartsy stuff and painters, I wouldn't be able to.
Oh, there's an interesting one. The difference. So I didn't watch Lost when it came out. I still haven't seen it.
Okay.
So I'm one of 4 people in the world who never saw it. But
you're more than 4, trust me.
But boy, was that a big show. But I was interested. What was the transition like for you going from multicam to single cam? Did it make your life easier, harder? Did
multicam to single cam,
like coming off of a J.J. Abrams show where he's got, or even like Super 8, where
you mean go from single cam to multicam? No,
or yeah. Sorry.
Because Zach always used one camera, barely used B camera. Again, spoiled, because like the best place for a camera is here. He also never did like 2 sizes at the same time, unless it was stunty or some reason. Yeah, very spoiled. So actually started before that. Wait, was Super 8 before? Oh yeah, Lost first. Yes. Lost wasn't crazy multicam because I did the pilot, right? So it was barely 2 cams. As the season went on, of course, there was more cams. It was actually harder to do Super 8, which was 3 cams. Yes, but that is super hard. And I've been slowly trying to learn that, to do multi-cameras, and I'm still not good at it. I don't like to do it. But at least you can kind of plan ahead if you know the director's going to want to do that and only slightly compromise your lighting. But yeah, that's no fun. I'd much rather use, one. But I think most of the time when people use 2 cameras, it's kind of they're the same angle.
That's what I was going to say, like just the feature stack,
Yeah, but every so often, we're in a hurry and you got to do this thing, and then you're 90 degrees, which compromise, or like almost 180. And why are we doing this? So I don't like to do it. Although some people, they seem to be able to do it very well, and I'm jealous. I don't know. That's something they don't teach you anywhere. No. Well, hey, I'm going to go and look at YouTube after this is over and see if they have any tips for cinematic shooting.
Yeah.
Coverage in a circle.
Well, that's
painting out the other camera.
That's what I was going to say. You got to learn your paint outs at that point.
Well, it's on the director, right? Because it's like, are we going to do the best shot? Are we going to compromise? Or maybe not the director. Maybe it's also the work of the day. Sadly, it becomes things like that. Can we make our day?
Yeah.
Hurry. It looks good enough. So I've learned how to compromise. If I know it's coming, you can use more top light rather than a shot where it's 2 over this and they want to cross shoot it and one person's total front light and the other person's in total backlight. Right. But sometimes you embrace that, right? And like you meant to do it.
I was talking to Messerschmitt, and one thing that kind of stuck with me was he was like, I guess the way he operates is kind of like, no one ever watches a movie and goes, well, I'm glad they made their day.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that is awesome, but damn, you got to be able to pull weight to be able to be like, shut the fuck up, I'm shooting this. I don't care if we make schedule.
God, I did hear that actually. Like listen to that last week. Yeah, that was.
Oh, did you? Oh.
That was funny / painful. Yeah,
you got to be up
theater like made it days, or at least he's had 2 examples, right? And they're just both heartbreaking. But it's true. It's true.
Yeah, I'm wondering. No, that's a question or a thought for a different day. That was just going to get. Anywho, we talked about film. Would you have shot those? Is film? If you had the option to shoot digital, would you have shot those superhero films on digital? Would that make your life easier? Or is part of that look the film? Because it goes through that heavy VFX process, like you were saying. So, like the image gets touched up so much. Would it have mattered?
That's a difficult question because I remember we shot, Zach and Jay were both super film people. And right when I predicted Zach would turn, I remember one day I just said to a DIT who knew Zach, I go, right around now, because I was shooting digitally, my second digital feature, I think. I go, right around now, I bet Zach would be open to digital. And sure enough, that weekend called me and said, hey, Larry, can you set me up at Panavision and do some tests? And he hasn't looked back. And neither have I, by the way. Like, I've been on projects where, of course, the director wanted to shoot film, and of course, the studio said, no way. So, unless it's a heavy hitter that really wants to shoot film and we know who they are, I don't know if I'll be doing another film thing. So I decided to just embrace the digital thing. It's kind of the enemy at the beginning.
Right.
But I didn't really see it as the enemy. I saw it as a challenge, and there's a lot of things I love about it. A lot of things. But I can think of one instance, and it's just going to show my ignorance. On Watchmen, there's a scene where these SWAT guys break into Rorschach's apartment and come up the stairs. Mm. And at the time, I had my digital Nikon, and I would kind of just do shots with it and just kind of to get the idea of a shot was working out, not really to make important decisions. Right. But, I had my meter and my spot meter, and I determined what the shot was looking down with these guys coming up the stairs in this dark stairwell. Because I metered it, and I figured that would be the exposure. So I took a picture with my Nikon, I look at it, and it's completely black. I'm thinking, why is that? Again, this is going to be embarrassing, but the stairway was black. The SWAT outfits were black. The helmets they were wearing were black. The guns were black.
Right.
Gloves were black. Everything was black. I'm glad I took this picture. Hey, can we just open up a stop?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, no problem. Seems obvious, right? But it's little things like in the heat of the battle where, if that was digital, now there's never, I just love that what you see is what you get digitally. Yeah. And that I can look at it and go, okay, this is 95% of what I think it's going to look like later. Roll, right?
I feel like that's been the thing that everyone says is like, famous Deacon's quote of like, now I can sleep at night. Whereas before it was waiting for dailies and just going like, oh, did I fucking...
Yeah, it's true. It is true.
But I do feel like, and this isn't something you've done, but a lot of DPs seem to have fallen into the trap of digital cameras and LED lighting I shouldn't even say LED, available, easy to implement soft lighting has resulted in very low contrast images. And I think, speaking of the children yearning once again, I think they yearn for contrast. Hard light, deeper stops. Not everything has to be 1.4,
Yeah, no, that is true. But also you don't have to be, you can use no fill and see how contrasty it is and go, okay, we don't need fill. Let's roll it. This looks good. Mm-hmm. But what happened with actually not so much of the digital age, well, kind of, more the LED age, when I did Skull Island, where most of the units were becoming the LEDs, in the past, that backlight's too bright, and you'd make these calls like put a double in the backlight,
Right.
and that's going to be exactly one stop less, right?
Right.
Key light, okay, put a single in, and it's still in between. Can you back up the light a foot? And you're looking at it, right? But now when it's digital, you're not guessing, but also you're not throwing singles and doubles. It's not increments of half a stop or one stop. On Skull Island, I would say we need to make that maybe half stop darker, for example. And then I hear the gaffer go, and he's talking to the guy on the board op, right? What's your light at? What percentage? Okay. Come down 15. How's that, Larry? A little more. Is it okay? 5 points. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's roll. So, like, I don't even know the percentages. I don't know how to say what is the number, like, coming down how many points. So now this is what I do. I don't know what other people do. I go, that's way dark, but that's way bright. Bring that down a lot, or bring down just a little bit.
Right.
Bring that down. At least my fingers like this. I go a little more, a little more, a little more. Good. Okay, good. So it's weird, right?
You know what? I had not thought of that, but why the fuck don't light manufacturers have a stop option?
We don't need to now. Back then they had to, because you had only can make two different kinds of screens on the scrims, right?
That
was arbitrary. So also numbers are arbitrary. But 100 come down 5 points is not the same as if you're 20 come down 5 points. I can't figure that out. I'm sure the kids can. But now but what's good about it is, like, it gives the gaffer and the board op, they get to play more of a part instead of being robots.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that to involve crew people. So a little bit more, and they're looking at it too, because they're next to me watching the screen, right? Which is, again, a product they can do this because it's digital, because they're in the tent with me. I go, look, see, that's kind of bright, right? So it's blowing out, and then he'll go, and then I like that people can be more involved, right? And then pretty soon, because they're doing that, they know my taste, and then the next scene they're adjusting it without me maybe saying it. So that's a product of both the digital and the LED age of how you adjust lighting. Also, by the way, because what you see is what you get. Remember how before you have to stop, you have to run in and guys get a ladder and put the double in, and they're mad? I'm always adjusting, not only between takes, but while the shot's going on. This is something I've never heard anyone talk about. We're looking at it and they want to roll. So I'm going, okay, just roll. And then while they're going, okay, everyone's like final touches, I'm still adjusting the lighting because I can see it, right?
Right.
Even if we do it and they turn that way, oh, it's too bright. Okay, slowly come down on that. Slowly come down.
Yeah.
And when they're resetting, and they'll do it. That's a whole different way of filmmaking that doesn't exist 50 or 20 years ago.
Well,
adjusting while you're rolling.
Yeah, on the like iPad or what, you got your Luminaire or whatever it is. You can just. Although I will say, it only works now. To your point, because I think if you and I know who I'm talking about, but we don't need to name him.
Yep.
But the DP who was adjusting a light,
I was already thinking of that when I was saying that.
Yeah. Because they had, I think, I don't remember the specific. I do know the gaffer for that shoot. I believe he was putting a scrim in, or he was moving it. And yeah, now you can just do it. And I'm sure the like motorized heads exist now too. Like people are using those movers a lot more than I would expect these days.
Yeah, I've started doing that too.
What are they like photometrically accurate enough? Does it matter?
They're not good, but they still have saved my ass more than once. On two movies, we had the cavernous sets. Like, for example, in Damsel, these giant sets where there's no way to know where the action was going to be, in giant cave sets. I mean, gigantic.
Yeah.
So the gaffer put like these movers everywhere, big ones, small ones. And then so there's a guy standing there in a wide shot. Oh man, like, thank God there's a mover there. Like that one or that one for the backlight. That's too dead back. Use that one. Okay, fine. Okay, pan it. The guy's on his iPad. Zoom in. Okay, looks a little green. I got really good at this. Looks like 2 points green. Okay, there it is. Okay, flood it out. Soften the edge. Put a little pattern in it. Brighter, darker. Okay.
You can put patterns in them now?
Yeah. And then that was like, took 30 seconds.
That's
put it back
so
up
over
the distance. And sometimes a key light, like guys were running like Well, we'll soften it when it's a big close up, but for there, like that mover might work.
Right.
And then it's crazy.
That's
Instead of light on a stand over here, but then we do the close up, we'll bring a light in, right? But in a giant place like that, how else can you do that? Giant stage.
That's fascinating because I would have assumed that No, I don't even have an assumption for that. That's just really fucking cool. I didn't know you could put like gobos in them or whatever, like cookies.
Yeah. Watery, and even kind of branch-like. So if it looks too much like a spotlight, and you're in a naturey place or something like in the caves I was talking about, you could put a very light texture in it, so it didn't look so much like someone had a follow spot on them. And by the way, even when it's front light, when they're walking through it, then you see these kind of interesting kind of patterns, and it was just instant.
Right. Well, and I guess nature isn't always, the sun.
Right.
If it's bouncing around, it's going to get polluted by something. So,
Right.
Yeah.
In an underground cave, it doesn't make sense anyway. So it's another story.
Well, that actually, I think, what was your Gavin? Jim Gertrude?
Jim Gertch.
Gertch? I don't know where I got the rest of that. Jim Gertch, the quote, I don't know if I got this quote from you years ago or if someone else said it and Jim stole it or what the deal was, but the where's the light coming from? Same place music's coming from?
Yeah.
I've used that for that sentence alone has guided most of my filmmaking ideas. Is like, I don't need to explain this. It's just good.
Right.
It's the soul. It's not the brain,
Yes, and that he was amazing that way. He's not with us anymore, but I do believe I've heard that from other sources as well. So I can't ask him, but I don't know if he really made that up. But
we'll say he did.
That, yes, that sums it all up.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know he had passed, so I'm sorry to bring that up on you. But what else do we have? I have some, this is just random notes in here about nothing.
I saw that book in the title sequence from Seven.
Oh, right. Like here's a weird. I just have the Dr. Manhattan tank looks rad.
Dr. Manhattan tank.
I don't even know what that means.
Not that all CG shot.
Yeah,
I didn't think that was the greatest, but fine.
No, well, so I think roll right under it. It says the Iron Man tank looks better.
Oh, did they do something like that? I can't remember.
When I think if I have to remember, again, I was a little in my cups last night. I think when he like blows up, Iron Man like does that cool guy doesn't look at explosions thing and he blows it up. And I think, oh, okay, I need to continue reading. 2008, that era of the kind of Watchmen era / Iron Man being like the happy medium between where film and VFX seem to have coalesced in a way that the audiences seem to like.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if you even whisper VFX, people get all mad.
Yeah, they do.
But they love the work that like you guys did, and I'm just fascinated by that. That's not even a question. It's just something I've thought about a lot. Is like, why do you like it from back then, but not now?
That is true. I've been noticing that a lot of where every movie review, by the way, whether it's just armchair YouTuber kid or New York Times, they always mention the VFX.
Yeah.
CGI, they say. They were like, yeah, the CGI wasn't good. The CGI looked like it wasn't her. Like it's part of the review as much as the acting or anything now.
Yeah.
Just fine. Yeah, it always becomes a thing where like, can you do it or why are you doing it? Yeah, and there's always budgetary things. There's deadlines. I've experienced that where like this is the doing the DI, like this is the finished effect thing. Dude, like they locked picture yesterday and we just finished this now. We're out of time and money. What can I say? We're sorry. And then that's on forever on I was going to say on a DVD, but it's exists forever somewhere. But by the way, that's an interesting thing. When DVDs and Blu-rays and all that came out, well, I guess almost any movie you can see. But in the old days, when there wasn't that kind of thing, if you had a mistake or a camera shadow or reflection, like you kind of lived with it. Now it's there forever, right? And only if you're a certain director can you go back and paint that out before you release the whatever. And so you can see mistakes,
But people prefer them. Everyone gets mad. Well, Lucas being the obvious, but like people want it. I keep saying people. I'm such a dork, but like I have felt this kind of groundswell of people wanting. Granted, the push towards shooting on film or having a literal photochemical film look, but people seem to. I think because we're so inundated with perfection all the time, whether it be
right,
a filter on Instagram or whatever, but just in life, everything seems to feel so perfection oriented or sterile that people prefer when there's mistakes that they can see, or they prefer whatever film, or they, and it's interesting how the executives have not taken note. We want more artists doing art stuff, the AI push, and there's before our conversation, there's a couple episodes that are coming out where I'm talking to Jay Holden and Michael Keone from Stratton talking about AI and stuff. And it's interesting to hear the various opinions on taking the artist out of the art, in my opinion. That's me editorializing.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's not even a question, but I've been thinking about it a lot.
But it's funny because when I was doing, even back to Watchmen, I was thinking, which is only my, I guess, second studio movie.
Which is wild, by the way. I cannot compliment you enough on 300 and Watchmen back to back.
Probably have to give Zach credit for that. But the
no, you take it. I've never met that man.
Okay. I mean, we're doing crazy. In fact, like, remember, like, there's from the balcony and zooming all the way down to the sidewalk into a close up of that pin.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, like you should like miss the focus. You should like have like a bump in the crane down because it's all CG, right?
Right.
Or when the thing is falling, I kept suggesting this. They go, yeah, maybe, but in the end, I think no one was brave enough to do that. Right. But I still ask for those kind of things. I little bumps. Like even operate. Like you always know it's a CG landscape because you see that flare in the corner, okay? Because it's clearly
right.
That'll confuse the people, and they won't be able to notice it. And actually, it's just like bing, CG, not real. Everyone does that. I mean, half my work's full of those. I mean, I didn't make the decision, but that was the reason, right?
Right.
And then the spaceship flying by you in outer space, and it's always operated so perfectly. It's right. The second unit aerial space unit, their operators are the best because they nail it. There's no rehearsal. The spaceship's going by at light speed, but they just nail that operating, right?
Yeah.
There should be a lag, and I think JJ has done, other people have done it where it kind of is not perfect. That Firefly. Yeah, and this perfect, or like the snap zoom. No one told the second unit, space unit, to stop with the snap zooms, right?
Yeah, that's also
nowhere in the movie. Yeah, nowhere in the movie the space snap zooms down here. But it's smart, and back in the day, because it made you think, oh, okay, it's not just a lock-off camera as well. So I get it, and it's very clever. But it is kind of funny, nice mentioning that we've all seen that.
But that's the funny thing, right? Because like everyone loves Fincher films, but he removes the humanity out of the operating entirely.
Yeah, but it becomes invisible because you don't realize it. Only you and I know that, and the audience doesn't know that. Audience has, you just see a movie like Social Network, and then you look at the VFX is like 3 minutes long of VFX artists. What was that? Where? Right. What? I have to say this is kind of a funny story. A bunch of us were going to see Social Network, and as we're walking in there, I go like, I wonder how many VFX are going to be in this. It seems to be just talking people,
right? And
I go, and we're sitting down and go, Finch will find a way to do elaborate visual effects. Just watch this. And then we sit down, and like then 30 seconds in, like it tilts down from the starry sky down to university, and then we all just start laughing, like 7 of us, right? And we're the jerks in the theater, like, what are they laughing at? What's so funny?
Right.
It was funny to us because no one realized that.
You're talking about the stitch up, like the 6 camera rig where they track him through the quad?
No, this was just a simple establishing shot. If I remember correctly, it was just the sky, and I think it just tilted down, and then he's down there.
Gotcha.
Unless that's the one you're talking about. I don't know.
I think I have. It's been a while since I've seen the film, but I just, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like the that rig they set up. Basically, they weren't allowed to shoot at Harvard, so
right.
they just went across the street and put like 6 red ones in a grid. And instead of doing that move, I think we're talking about the same thing. Instead of doing the whole move, they just shot one giant plate essentially. And animated the move in post.
Oh, see, even more complicated than I thought.
Yeah.
But just an establishing shot just coming down the sky where no one would even think twice, except we know that you can't shoot a starry sky.
Yeah.
But but then of course there was like the breaths. And
I found that one on a Blu-ray.
Oh, you can tell?
No, I didn't even think about it. That's good filmmaking, though. I didn't even stop to think like you would go so. Granted, I was like 18 at the time when that came out, but like 18, 20. But like to go that far never occurred to me.
Right. But that's the genius of Fincher, right? Little things like that.
Yeah. But I guess that all speaks to like the right tool for the right film is the thing. Sometimes it does need to be handheld 16 mil, verite versus absolutely and there isn't I spent all this time saying like, this is what people want. It's like, people don't know what they want. I don't know what people want. No one knows what they want. But as long as there's, in my opinion, this is a great save. I think the most important thing is just having the artist, whoever it may be, director, cinematographer, their voice. As long as people can tell, this is the AI thing I was thinking of. As long as they can tell a person is talking, visually, whatever. That's it.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. It's going to be interesting to see like in the future with the AI or, but then again, we've seen films and worked on films where it was almost AI could have done it because
sure,
it was like a committee, decided the whole thing.
Do you being at the level you are you seeing studios kind of or they're not like studios now, they're like tech companies, are they kind of backing off and let people, I know I've heard that like Apple's pretty good at it, or are you seeing that they're still as like hands-on as ever?
I've seen both. I've seen
really
lately where had to shoot 2 or 3 endings. I've been on a movie scarred the whole third of the movie, the ending or the middle. But then I also worked on, I worked on this A24 thing last summer where the director absolutely did his homework, knew exactly what he wanted, worked so closely with me. It was an amazing experience. And the studio came by and they were hanging out for a day. And they go, hey, well, nice to meet you. Good to see you. And I go, well, you're not coming back tomorrow? They go, no, it looks like you got everything in control. But there are other things we have to do. Okay.
They're like, wait, hold on. Are we not important?
I'm like, really? I guess that's a good thing. Wow. So, I can't say enough good things about A24, whether they're like that, that was quite something to see because that has a director's hand all over and my hand, and I can't, it's coming out end of this year. It's called Death of a Unicorn. And, it's going to be a weird one. It's A24, although no like male frontal nudity and I don't think any decapitations. So I don't know if it's
off base for them.
I'm going to see tomorrow night. I'm going to see Civil War. I can't wait.
I'm interested in that as well. I had only seen Instagram posts. And then I finally saw a trailer. I was like, ooh, this could be a fun one.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty commercial for them, but that doesn't matter. Alex Garland's great, and so is Rob Hardy.
Yeah.
So
Oscar, isn't that his? I just saw a thing. He's saying that's his last movie.
Who?
Garland. He's over it.
What?
Yeah, apparently. I don't know if he's gonna keep writing, but I think he said he's done directing.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, you literally batting 1,000. I don't think you've made a bad film. What happened?
Wow. By the way, did you see that weird movie where that the woman's trapped in that cottage?
Ex Machina?
No. Just it's 1 or 2 films ago. Basically all about one woman and all these weird things happen to her. Oh my God, you got to see that. That screwed me up.
One of his films?
2 days I was just wandering around in days. Yeah, it was the craziest film. Wow.
That
the name.
Yeah, we'll look that up later. The other one that I mentioned, like obviously Shyamalan is always making something funny, but that whatever that where they just have a bunch of people in a box in a forest. Have you seen that trailer? So
That's coming?
yeah, I think it's coming out soon. I mean, I saw the trailer, so it's got to be the next. But like, it's a bunch of people in a living room that's in a concrete box with a window on one side, and it's a one-way mirror, so they can't see out, but people can see in, and like monsters come to look at them or something. Listen.
That sounds cool.
It sounds so cool. Like I can't with that, man. Like you make signs once, and then everything else is weird, and I can't stop watching.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that'll be worth seeing.
That'll be a fun one. Probably should let you go.
Have we started the podcast yet?
Yeah, are we going to record something? I suppose to finish it, I did want to know like what actually got you into magic, because for me it was magic came well before film. And it took me being. I found an old journal last night that I was reading, and it's really interesting to see how little I've changed and how much I've changed, but how insecure I was. And becoming an adult, just every page in that thing, it's a 5-year journal, and almost every other page is me talking about how sad I am and insecure, and talking about it's a very strange, it's a weird artifact. But
how old were you when you wrote that?
So this would have been 20. I would have been 15 to 21. Wow. And I took some screenshot, like some photos of it, because some of them are really funny, but like. Everyone's talking about how kids are depressed these days.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm reading that journal like, nope, this is constant. I have a weirdly enough, a deeper understanding of the way kids feel based on my writings as a teenager.
Funny. I would have written something similar if I thought of writing it, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it helped me forget those times.
Yeah, I don't like.
You're right. You're right. Depression is like very fashionable right now. Sorry.
Yeah. But that is all to say, this is by far the most interesting podcast, because magic was something I kept inside because I thought I was going to get made fun of. As a kid, it was cool. And then I don't know when someone started to make fun of me, but I clearly just decided like, oh, this shouldn't be a part of my personality. And then as I've become an adult in my 30s, everyone thinks it's rad. And I think Penn and Teller have something to do with that, because Chris Angel did not help us.
No, for a split second, for certain.
Yeah, he made it popular, but God, you say again?
Penn and Teller for sure. Yeah,
yeah. I got the old where's it? The Three Clubs tattoo.
Oh, really? Did you know that Three of Clubs is hidden in Watchmen and also Skull Island and also several movies? I have Three of Clubs card hidden in the shot.
I love that.
I don't know if I have that anywhere on the. I mean, I might have mentioned it like on Twitter here and there, but there's no actual record of it. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah,
you got to send me like the timestamps for those or something. I got to find them.
Well, I do have stills I've taken off monitor, like for the send.
Oh yeah, please do.
Real quick in Watchmen, when they raid Rorschach's house and he's scrambling trying to find something. He's looking through the drawers trying to find the hairspray. If you look in the drawer, you see linking rings in there, and you see a Three Clubs there.
Oh, he has like I thought you meant like but the literal linking rings trick.
Yeah, because Moloch, right? He's in Moloch's apartment,
right?
But also they go to the flashback of Moloch doing a stage show when the gangsters get exploded. You'll see he's up on stage and there's the Three Clubs floating a big card.
That's great.
Things like this. But anyway, that's really. Matt, it's funny you say that, because magic for me helped me, because it helped me like when I was about to get probably beat up, I would just do a crazy magic trick and I would freeze everyone. At least in my memory, may not be true.
Right.
That'll shut people up when you suddenly like pull your thumb off or something. Right. Even today, it shuts people up when you pull your thumb off.
Right.
But for me, I was a nerd, so I was in the library all the time. And then I was not only looking at arts and sciences and whatever, but the magic, you see magic, but you're like, what? This is how you can look like you're putting put a handkerchief over your thumb and then put needles into your thumb and people will freak out. And, oh, you use a piece of carrot? That's pretty smart. That's cool. I got to try that. There's always little weird things like that. And I got a magic set for Christmas. And it was always just not very serious. But I think college, I had a burst of always doing some kind of little magic trick. And then I've always had magic books and bought magic things. But like I said, when I met those magicians 15 or 20 years ago, that sealed the deal. Because now I had access to all the coolest stuff and the coolest magicians. And then, yeah, I mean, that's my second passion behind film for sure.
Yeah.
But it informed, I knew it mattered when my accountant said, all this magic stuff you use can be a tax write-off, because it's obvious even online and even like this podcast that you use your magic as part of what you do in your career and as a cinematographer. So it's definitely a tax write-off.
Right.
And it does inform what I do and how I do have the time. Because I go, look, guys, you can just do this simply if we just do so-and-so. Trust me. And, half the time they believe me, half the time they don't. And then, ta-da.
Is there an example you can think of where like specifically like some kind of like tenet of magic worked? Obviously, misdirection's a pretty good one, but like anything specific? Not, you don't have to.
From Texas switches to just
sure.
lighting effects. Oh, here's God. This is weird that this popped to mind. When we're doing 300, there's a low angle of a warrior he's full of, I think, arrows, and then he breaks them all off. And I think it's in the trailer.
Yeah.
It's very low angle.
Yeah, it's on the shield, I think, right?
Yeah, that was it. So obviously you had to look straight up, but then you look right into our lights.
Right.
That old thing. Every movie we do this. So I'm like, And I go, why don't we just, those things that you put your trash cans on, take them to the curb, those things with the wheels? Those little hand trolley.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Remember when you were a kid, like you put your friend on it and you wheel him around?
Yeah.
So I go, why don't we just put the guy on that, lean him back 45 degrees. We're looking into the green screen that's already there. And he hits the pieces. They're all going to fly at us anyway. It'll seem like we're looking straight up, but we won't really be looking straight up.
Perfect.
And then they bring it over. Okay, ready. Shoot it. Like, okay, next.
Yeah.
The VFX would have made us do a whole green thing like this and do blah, blah, blah. And I used that actually in my last, 2 months ago. Same trick, because we had to look straight up and it was looking into lights. Just angle a person.
Did you have the green screen in that most recent shot, or did you just...
Yeah, that was a green
budget.
Screen.
Yeah.
But we're all like this, and all of a sudden, no one told me that on the storyboard, you couldn't tell that it was a looking straight up shot. You couldn't tell from it was someone who was underwater.
And what is that?
What was that?
Dude, I'm telling you,
I'm looking, I'm not touching anything.
What the fuck was that?
There's no one in my house. I'm not even touching the computer.
Speaking of magic,
is someone listening in on us?
So hopefully.
On my screen.
But I don't know, because all right, hold on. Do a thumbs up. See if it does that thing again.
Oh, you know what? I bet you it's because I'm using this webcam app, and it does have weird things in it. There might be some kind of hand gesture.
Oh, maybe. I don't know where they got the idea of balloons, though. That seems...
Look down here. Pixelate stickers, backgrounds, effects. Yeah, because you know how you do hand signals, like the DJI, like the drone, if you do a thing, or like do a selfie or whatever. Maybe I did something.
Yeah.
Or I said something.
We gotta watch the tape back.
I haven't used webcam before, so
it looks good. Is it? What is it? Because
Opal. It's one of those late night Instagram purchases. Opal C1.
Yep.
I don't know why I have it, because I already have a webcam. It's like right above the built-in MacBook.
I will say
it has an app that you can adjust the image.
I almost bought this. Do you do this where the later it gets, the more likely you are to purchase shit on Amazon?
Oh yeah, Amazon, Instagram, drunk, all those things.
Oh my goodness!
Show up in the mail. It's like Christmas. You don't remember ordering it. Sometimes you order two of the same things.
Yep.
You've done that. You got something. You go, this is cool. Then you put it on the shelf, and then you put it right next to the one you already have.
I've done that with Blu-rays before. I'll tell you what. I've got 48 decks of these like casino bees that, like, I guess this Chinese casino went out of business, so Conjuring Arts was selling them by the brick.
Yep.
That was one of those. I don't use B. I can't do the
second deal.
Yeah, no, I mean just any of it. It's so if you have a card upside down, it's immediately apparent in those things. So I just
but you're going to stop doing the double lift, so it doesn't matter.
True, that is true. I have it circled right here.
I'll help your second deal. There's version. I mean, your top chain. There's a version of the top chains the Mineral has where it's actually you put it on top of the deck and you pause, and then do the thing, and that's where the beat will actually help.
Oh, really? Maybe I'll finally have a use because I love the way they feel.
Right.
But they're also, like I said, like I will say about the Nuggets. Do you have the? Oh, you were gonna make. They're a little too
stiff.
But
why even play with them? Because those are worth so much money, and you're gonna wear it out.
Yeah.
How many do you got?
I bought a brick of them, so I've got
weird.
Conjuring Hearts at one point.
Oh wow.
I got a green one. I got a gold leaf red one. I came out with those, but
I have two. One was from Chris Kenner. I'm name dropping, and one was from Michael Weber.
Oh fuck! I haven't thought of Michael Weber in a minute.
Michael Weber. Oh, people should know Michael Weber was Ricky Jay's partner in doing like effects for movies, including like from going all the way Forrest Gump, etc., using magic principles to do effects. That's how they made Corporal Dan, Captain Dan,
Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan. Have the wheelchair with to make it look like he had no legs.
That actually, you just reminded me Wow, this is such a weird thing to have suddenly remembered. But I remember thinking, oh shit, magic and movies at the same time. And it was the special features for Forrest Gump when they were like, to sell the idea that he had no leg, they CGI'd in something that he had to whip past with his real leg.
Nice.
He had the blue screen sleeve on his leg, and then I think it was like a table. And it was a CGI table so that he could physically go under it, but then they CGI the table in to sell the idea he had no leg.
Zemeckis, geez. By the way, I was on the set of Zemeckis' last film last year. They're probably not allowed to say what it was, but I saw him doing.
Oh, it's not out yet.
But do you know anything about it?
I interviewed his DP the other day, but maybe not.
Tell you anything about it? Don Burgess? You didn't tell.
It wasn't Don. So no, I don't.
I don't know how much of his public, so I don't know if I can say. But it's going to be, if I just told you the concept, your mind would explode. Your brain would
really?
Explode. Yeah.
You got a good one coming from him.
Oh, God, what kind of hint can I drop without getting sued? The camera never moves.
Ooh.
For the entire movie.
Interesting.
And the entire movie is not real time, like 1 or 2 hours. It's much, much more. God, I hope I don't get sued.
Well, we can.
Well, I knew that before I visited, so it hasn't been common knowledge.
I don't think that's enough because we don't know the story or anything. That's just yeah.
But again, magic, like Zemeckis magician, all the way, so many things, all the way even Contact, right? The famous
Contact.
Famous stair, go run up the stairs into the medicine cabinet shot.
Yeah.
So good.
That. What now I'm just wondering, is there a film that has met? Oh, Christ almighty. I forgot you did Now You See Me.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Okay. I was going to say so it's not Now You Don't? What the hell, Larry? Couldn't call someone about that?
Funny. But see, like Forrest Gump is more magical than that.
Yeah.
And
is there a film that includes magic in it that you off the top of your head? Because there's like Shade or like what's the other one?
Prestige.
Well, that's an obvious one, but
blah blah blah.
I guess they're all obvious, aren't they?
Another good one. Prestige was okay. I mean,
Sting.
Yeah, it was good. It's hard because the screenwriters and people they're not really magicians, so it's always super cliche, right?
Right.
Even now you see me, like even the performances and things they say and the things they do are so not how a good magician talks or speaks, because it's a secret world. So if unless you're in that world, you don't know what's possible and what it's really like.
Well, it was to your point earlier about like getting into magic as you got older, and it took meeting those people. I feel like the same thing with cinematography. Like you can learn all these, skills, but until you meet people, I guess this is music too. Until you meet people doing it who have more experience than you or are maybe more intently focused on it, you don't know where the ceiling is. My reference is always, no one knew skateboarding could be cool until Tony Hawk did the 900.
Yeah.
And then people started trying. Because that was impossible. So he did something impossible and everyone went, oh, fuck, I guess we got to... Now there's 13-year-olds doing 1600s, whatever. The street scene in skateboarding is nuts now. Just so many talented athletes. But yeah, it's like until you're around in possibility, you don't try.
Mm-hmm.
So it is cool to like be able to meet those. Hanging out at the castle in general is one of the most artistically fulfilling things I think someone can do.
Yeah. 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 I'm going Thursday night. It's been a while.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Maybe I should see if I can pop through. I just don't think that, like, because magic is vaudeville. There's like nowhere in the world really, or especially not in LA, where like people are willing to buy into that or just hang out and talk about, like, film certainly is that everyone wants to talk about the CGI. Like, it's like people going to a place to willingly suspend their disbelief and dress up way nicer than they ever have.
Right.
Is rare.
Yeah, well, it's very vaudevillian. It's a dying art. I'm surprised it's still around, right? When you think about it, like, you don't see ventriloquists every day or people spinning hula hoops or spinning plates, all that kind of... unless you go to Brookledge. I don't know if you know what Brookledge is.
No.
Brookledge is owned by the people that started the Magic Castle. It's their residence in Hancock Park, I think. Mm. And they have a theater in the back, and it was used a lot in the 20s and 30s. And every so often they have a special invitation-only show there, which is almost like going back to the vaudeville days. Mm. The performance, very rare that the public doesn't see, goes there, and music, magic, dance, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I brought that up, sorry. But the
cool flex.
But the cool thing about magic is that it's become relevant, right? Because when David Blaine did what he did, he like broke a mold of the one stereotype of the magician being the dapper guy in the tux and the top hat.
Right.
It's a street kid, wandering the streets of New York City. And he was doing stuff. And it was funny because he was doing a lot of the tricks he was doing were, tricks you can do, and I'm sure you did, or you can buy at the store. But the thing that was genius about it was it looked like just a normal kid manifesting these strange things. And people thought he was the devil, thought that was real.
Right.
Only because the paradigm was broken.
Yeah.
Still card tricks or making coins disappear, but for some reason that was real and he was the devil. That's how powerful of what he did.
I remember the churches freaking out about the street magic. Like legitimately, like the 90s were wild.
But now, like, it's funny because that came out and they said, Larry, that's the kind of magic you do. I go, it is? Yeah, you just kind of wander around, you don't say much, you just do a thing and then you leave. Like, I wouldn't compare myself to David Blaine, but you're right. My thing is organic, and I can't go in front of an audience and say, ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 this whole spiel and the rehearsed thing. It does feel organic because that's all I can do because I'm not a performer and I have stage fright. So it has to be organic or seem organic, which is the one common thread with that kind of street magic, we'll call it, is. Although, if I pull out the cards and, like, it's not like it just came out of nowhere. I just happen to have this deck of cards in my pocket. But that kind of stuff is the most fun.
We had mentioned it in the email, and you don't have to talk about it if you don't want, but I think it would be interesting just to know, like, what your process was joining the Magic Castle, because you had said you don't like being in front of people. You don't like, performing for a single person is fine, but like, a crowd, I think most people are not stoked on. But the whole point of joining the Academy of Magical Arts and Sciences is that you're going to be in front of a bunch of people at some point.
Yeah, I think it was facing my fears. I did know some magicians that I would always have to ask them when they're going so I could go up there. And they're saying, like, you should just audition. I can't audition. Yeah, you can. So thank God, they pushed me, because it's a thing of pride, I guess. Part of a dream come true. It's part of facing your fears. And nothing is scarier than having to go in front of a board of people and prove yourself as an adult.
Right.
I was in my 30s or whatever when I did it. But that's weird. It's not something you would willingly put yourself through. Like a job interview, but worse. Right. It was actually more difficult than even the ASC audition, so to speak.
That was the comparison I was going to make, was like, I'm with you. I feel like that's way worse.
Way worse. Because at least I could show my work and show that I'm not a complete idiot, but where I couldn't really do that in the magic thing. Yeah, but those two dreams that came true was being a member of the Magic Castle and a member of the ASC. So nothing left. I don't know what else I can do.
Well, the nice thing is shared parking almost. You can just go to one or the other depending on what kind of day it is.
That is true.
I've thought about it, honestly, because I know I can like kind of sneak cheap parking at the Magic Castle. So like every time the ASC does a thing and I'm like, I don't want the mall is going to charge me $70. Maybe I just park up at the Magic Castle and then run away.
Well, like after the awards, but then, the awards, you are dressed up, because if it's not an awards thing, then they go, you can't be going to the castle because you have street clothes.
Right.
So, yeah.
It is funny to tell people like, hey, if you invite folks and you're like, hey, dress like, wear a suit. And they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, no, you're not listening. Dress like the nicest thing you have.
Right. That was a huge thing when I was an early member, and I would tell people that, and then people would show up in their hip club clothes. Like, I told you. They go, oh no, I can get in anywhere, because they're talking about getting in some cool club, right?
Right.
The Sunset Strip or something, and then they're like, oh, couldn't get in. Okay, so much for that night. We're all going to go to Denny's now. That happens so much, right? Or you say you make sure you eat first because they don't have food,
which they do now. But
yeah, now they have, thank God, bar food and stuff. But if you went without dinner, yeah. So whenever I give someone an invite, I have to say 3 times, and forward them the page that says what you have to wear. And I'll say it's very strict. You just have to say it over and over again. People just don't believe you. Very famous cinematographer who's been nominated for Oscars wanted to go there. And he didn't listen to the dress code. And so
he didn't go.
Night fell apart. So yeah, it still happens.
I think going back to the idea of like, I think forcing everyone to dress up like that is gets people in the mood for that's the first step into getting people to suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
Is they're now probably out of their element, but then everyone else is dressed nice, so it feels like an event. So you're already primed for something outside of your daily experience.
Yeah. You made an investment.
Yeah.
Big one. For someone who lives in LA to put on a suit on a summer night. Huge commitment.
Yeah. They don't allow linen, really. Dude, I remember one time I was in there. I got to let you go. This has been very long. But I remember I was in there and it's the first time I've ever seen them shut it down early. They closed it at like 11 because there was this. No, there was plenty of people there, but there was this group of like, I want to say like 15 people that were all dressed like flappers or something. And they got so drunk, one girl fell all the way down the main staircase, top to bottom. Like popped up in the middle, right under the owl bar, and then continued to fall. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then I went and saw someone in the like close-up room. And then when I came back out, they were like getting everyone out. They were like, no more, we're done here.
Wow, just because of one group.
Yeah, I think they fucked it up for everyone, because I was like, there's no other reason to. It was like a Saturday.
That does happen. I was there one night where things went insane. Yeah. Yeah, happens every so often. But it's their fault because they keep wanting you to drink because that's part of their income, and then they become unruly audience members. So that's horrible. But then, then they have to shut the place down.
Some of those late night shows are, I feel so bad. Like, because I've been in there to film like a lot of magicians, and usually in the close-up room, and it's like, it's funny to watch the arc. Opening shows, very quiet, right? Middle shows, awesome. Anything after 11 p.m. or like 10 p.m.,
yeah, it gets bad.
It gets pretty bad. All right. Well, we'll probably just have to do this again so we can actually record something.
Yeah, we spent 10 seconds talking about film.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think this either is going to be everyone's favorite episode or no one's going to listen to it, and I don't care either way.
People, they're going to turn off halfway. I better go back to Deacon's.
The Deacon's pod. First of all, shout out to James Deacons because she's clearly the driving force of that podcast. But I will say, they don't interview a lot of DPs. I've interviewed 150 DPs. They've interviewed like 12.
Yeah, ancillary characters, which is good.
Oh, it's rad. But I'm just saying, like, you know, if you're going to listen to a cinematography podcast, this is the.
Oh, right. Because how many of you?
I've done. I think your episode might be 150.
Wow. Whew. But also the competition. Like, I would never want to be interviewed by Roger Deakins.
Well, you don't have to. It's James.
We'll be in the same room, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's too intimidating anyway. Thank God they don't know I'm alive.
I'm sure they do.
No. But, yeah.
They're all in the same club. It sucks they don't give you a Magic Castle 3-letter. You know, you can't be Larry Fong, ASC, MGK, or whatever.
AMA. It is on my Instagram thing. I put
Oh, is it?
AMA.
Is that what it is?
AMPAS and AMA, Academy of Magical Arts.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Or
and 7 clubs, by the way, because now I'm 7 clubs, not 3 of.
Oh, you got. Oh, nice. That's why the 7? Because obviously I stole mine from Penn and Teller.
I was 3 clubs, but then I was invited to a magic organization called the 52, and then you have to choose one of the cards. There's only 52 members, obviously, and 3 clubs was taken. So there's only a few left, and that was the closest one. So starting from The Predator, now 7 of clubs, and Tomorrow War is in the movie. Didn't make it in the Chipmunk. Oh, it could have made it in the Chipmunk movie. We did film it. Didn't make the cut. And of course, Damsel, they didn't have any playing cards.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll let you go. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm gonna.
No one's you can if you have to delete this from your feed and like we'll start over talking about film. I'm happy to.
Here's the thing. I didn't really prepare.
Okay, everyone out there, it's his fault.
Yeah, it is 100% my fault. I literally just, I was just so excited to chat with you. I was like, you know what? Especially because I forgot you had shot Damsel. So in my head, I was like, what? Normally it's like, oh, we got to spend about a half hour talking about whatever film they're here to promote. But since you're not here to promote anything, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to chat with him. Because that is the one thing I will say, like, I know what you're talking about. But basically what I do is I listen to other podcasts and then don't do that.
Oh, good.
So, and I've been told by mostly guests, because weirdly enough, I only get feedback from guests. I don't know. The metrics say people are listening. I've never heard from them.
There's no feedback.
Yeah, there's apparently about 3,000 subscribers. I don't know if that's a lot or a little, but I've never heard from any of them. But all the guests have said that the more conversational aspect is more fun because it's not, you can get a PR, what's it called? Press tour interview anywhere. It's like more interesting. My thing was always like, it's more interesting to talk to DPs about the people they are, less than like, oh, did you use a 12 by here?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Yes. In the past, if I was younger, I would probably listen a couple of the other ones and then get bored and then this, because when you meet people in person, they're actually more interested in your personal journey or this and that or who you are. Like,
right.
Who are you rather than talking about the latest lens or whatever. So yeah, I've listened to many of your, I have listened to some of the other ones and I don't often finish them, but yours, I tend to listen to the end.
I appreciate that, man.
That, whatever, but I'm at that.
That's just gonna be the pull quote. I'm trying to. This is one thing I need AI to do for me. I want to transcribe all of them and then just create a Jay Holben style book of like lessons learned and the type of people. But that fucking dude, it's like 400 hours of interviews.
Wow. Oh, that reminds me, of cinematography books. People are always asking what to get, and I have all those, and I've read all the technical ones. But there's a few that are about the person themselves that are the more interesting reads.
What are they? Because normally I tell people to get Shotcraft now.
Yeah, things like that. They're just not technical.
Yeah.
You do need the technical, obviously, but then after a while, you're like, well, you want to learn?
Making Movies by Sidney Lumet was the first film book I remember reading that I was like, oh, the people make this.
Yep. Yeah, that comes up all the time. That came up when I had Aussie Wind. I had lunch with him the other day. That came up. He talked about that book.
Really?
So that book always comes up when I young filmmakers. I always give them that book. That book just keeps on coming back. Yeah.
Masters of Light. It's a good one. What else we got?
But there's that big one on Storara. There's a big one at the biography of James Wong Howe there. That's like an inch and a half thick. Just finding out about people themselves. After a while, like that's what it comes down to, right? About biographies.
You literally I had written down, I saw you bring it up in a different interview, the James Wong Howe book, and I put it, that was almost a fucking drunk purchase last night.
Is it really expensive now? Is it at all?
Yeah. But that was, that's a good one. Where did it? Oh, I might cut this part out. I'm not going to cut literally anything else, but I might cut this part out because it's a little, but you've said you watch YouTube.
Yeah.
You know Wolf Crow?
Yeah.
So there's an episode on you, right? I assume you've seen it.
You're going to say that I'm going to say something. Go.
Okay. I appreciate the amount of research that man does, but his presentations piss me off because he'll read, because I've read the same things, right? He'll open up whatever, American Cinematographer. I don't know what he's getting his, but like in your episode, he goes, Larry always uses a 27 millimeter. And I was like, no, he fucking doesn't. But not this man yet. And I know he doesn't. Like, it's that thing where he like, and I've seen other creators do this, but that was just the one I ran into last night. But like,
yeah, it's hilarious.
They're very like,
it's like the 3/4 key with a backlight.
Yeah. And it's like, no, I did that once.
Okay, so I can tell you my story. There was a young cinematographer I know, and he always wants to learn things. He's too caught up in the hows and technique and everything. But he keeps sending me this was maybe 5 years ago, sending me those videos. He's always sending me YouTube videos. I don't want to see all these videos. And he kept sending me those. And I go I'm looking at them and trying to watch them. I saw like Chivos and Deacons and stuff. It's like what he's saying. It's kind of like bullshit. It's like, well, not bullshit, but it's just like not saying anything of value. And he was kind of hurt. I go, yeah, imagine if they did one of me, that would probably be the same thing. It wouldn't really make sense. Then it comes out, right?
Yeah.
Of me. And sure enough, it doesn't really make any sense what he's saying. There's one or two true things, but all the rest was speculation. I don't know where he got it. And then I had to, I showed it to my friend, and he still doesn't get it, by the way. So that was funny when he came full circle and he did it on me. Yes. And it was not all accurate.
Yeah.
So I get it, and comes from a good place in his heart, but it's just, yeah.
I think the main thing is like artists don't tend to, and of any type, don't tend to be prescriptive like that. I'm going to use a 27 mil. This is my lens. It's paints for various easels or whatever. And I think the non-technical people are constantly looking for the quote unquote the correct answer, all caps, trademark. Right.
And I do get asked that, by the way, but occasionally, what is your favorite lens? I don't know. So, like if you were interested in Da Vinci, you'd read his biography, right? But you're not going to ask where's the book that talks about what brushes and paints he used,
right?
Who made the canvases back then, and whose did he use? No one cares about that.
Yeah, but that's the weird part, right? People do, but they're none of them. But it's
maybe as an aside, but you're not going to.
but the people what I'm saying is like the people making the shit don't care. People who are
yeah
ancillary. The audience is interested. I have a TikTok because I'm trying to keep up with the youths, and I made one video about slates, 500,000 views on, and I'm like, it's literally just me going like, well, you write it in here, and when you go clap, that's where the audio syncs. And it's like 700 comments of people going, I had no idea, this is incredible. Like,
right, they don't know. That's so funny.
But that's a little easier to make a video about than trying to like detail someone's creative life down to an 8-minute video. But here's the thing, why does that guy that's the biggest issue, I think, is that guys like that, again, clearly does his research, but the presentation's weird. Get like a billion subscribers or whatever, and it's like, but now you're just spreading misinformation to the point that and I'm not talking about him specifically, but there's plenty of people who, because of their following, will spread some form of misinformation that then becomes the truth.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm always fascinated by that, where like there's at this point no point in correcting, because you'll get 100 voices telling you you're wrong.
Yeah.
That happens on Reddit to me all the goddamn time. I'll be like, no, that's not true. And they're like, where'd you get that? I'm like, I fucking talked to the guy. Here's the link.
But it's just like all those magic expose channels, right? People just want to know what the secret was. What's the one secret? Why Dune knows what it is, you know? What's the secret? There's no secret, you know? Yeah, trying to find out the magic secrets. There's no one secret in cinematography or filmmaking. There's no secret. That's the thing.
Was the masked magician a part of your life in any capacity?
Kind of, in the sense that when it came out, I go, that's kind of interesting, huh? I want to watch it, but it's kind of not cool. So then I would bring it up to laymen, regular people out there, and they're going, oh, that's so horrible. Like, I couldn't watch that. So many people said, I couldn't watch that show. It was just so disrespectful. That's funny. And I had
incredible.
Right. And I watched it. But the sad thing about that was, like, he got found out very quickly of who he was.
Right.
In the magic world, he has that thing that, oh, that's the thing that so-and-so makes. Must have rented it from him. Like, you can't keep that secret. There's only one of the whatever crazy windmill girl comes through, you know, so many in existence. So they just have to make some phone calls. The sad thing about that was not in exposing the magic to me. The sad thing was that guy was selling out his brothers for money.
Right.
And then using the excuse, well, a lot of magicians have done this. If I expose it, that forces magicians to come up with better ways of doing magic. But anyway, he ended up, I was in Vegas with a friend who went, you know, now you have to cut this out because we're in a strip club. And then I saw him wandering drunk around in this strip club, drunk, and just wandering by himself in circles. And it was so sad because all his friends disowned him and he just became an alcoholic, and because he sold out his brothers.
Right.
For money. Yeah, I think he got cancer. I don't know if he was alive or not. But yeah. But it was so sad because he was so bad, right? Didn't you see, like, with a lot of his exposés of close-up magic, he's shaking, and it was a bad take, and they didn't even do a second take, you know? A lot of times he kind of wandering around. It was very sad. That's the sad part to me.
Well, yeah, not only that, but, like, for what? Like, you and I remember him, but Chris Angel, most people know.
Well, yeah, you're right. He's been forgotten into the ether.
Right. So you did all that. And it totally actually makes sense that people didn't like, the layman didn't like it. Because we're going to watch, because it's like, oh, what's this guy doing? You know, you got to check in. But like, I never saw, that was one thing. That's actually one thing that I am on the fence with Ben and Teller about, is because they kind of have a similar thing, like, oh, we'll just show people because it's old. And I'm like, yeah, but it's new to somebody.
Yeah.
Now they can elevate it, you know, like doing the transparent box, or like cups and balls, like in a different way.
Yeah. But they're making the audience respect it more. They're just not right. They're stooping down and, you know, they're insulting their intelligence.
Exactly.
From a different place. Because you appreciate that trick more now. You don't go to your friend and go, oh, I know how they did in the cups. They had an extra ball, and then they hide it when you're not looking. Or when Teller does that thing with the cigarette and different steps of magic,
Yep.
makes you appreciate the art more.
Yeah.
Oh, it's their goal, right?
Well, and especially if it's something that involves just like technical skill, like you can show people and they're not going to go home and go, I can do that.
Right. And here's the thing about Penn and Teller. Their show, right?
Fool Us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reason of that is not to have a magic competition, right?
It's to get their openers. Isn't it? Oh, no. Okay.
It's so they can have the world see more magicians and to get magicians that aren't known that well to get exposure. So I always have my friends like, who are your favorite magicians? I go, well, you don't know them. You'll never see them.
Right.
But now you can see them because now they've had an audience, international audience, and that's because Penn and Teller love magic so much. They're doing that for the magicians. That's the real secret why they do that.
That's good. You know who just got on there, who I've been a fan of for a couple of years now, is Mark Hobie. French dude. He was champion of magic, like whatever that conference, like 2-3 years ago.
Oh, is the guy that with the cards or with the
cards, real sloppy?
Sloppy. Yeah. That was incredible. That guy.
That dude, I think, is probably one of the most because when we were emailing and I was talking about like, oh, I don't have like my patter down. I don't have any of that. I was like, fuck, that guy nailed it.
Yeah.
I want to steal that now, but now I can't because he's doing it. Also, the thing I love is handing out there's such an inside baseball thing he did, but handing out the Kit Kat. Because with the tight jeans, and everyone sees the box in his pocket and it's a fucking Kit Kat. I'm like,
Oh, what's the joke?
Oh, so he looks like he set himself up for what's that?
Go ahead. Sorry.
It looks like he set himself up for like a deck swap.
Oh, is that what it was?
So he's wearing these
totally. I didn't get that at all.
Oh, at least that's the way I took it. Is like,
and you can see that obviously when he comes out on stage.
He comes out, the shirt's too tight, the pants are too tight, and you see this brick in his pocket. So everyone's thinking, oh, there's going to be a deck swap, and then halfway through the trick, he pulls it out and just hands out. It's Kit Kat. Just hands that, and he's
wondering about that. Why everyone laughed so hard?
Yeah, because that was the way I took it. Also, the false palm. This is incredibly inside baseball now. But I rewatched that thing 100 times, and he absolutely does that to the false palm. But it's not. He doesn't do this, right? It's like really so subtle, and it's just such a masterful little misdirect.
It's genius.
Now, I feel like I've talked more in this podcast, and normally I try to shut the fuck up.
Good. Now everyone will get to know you better.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. All right. Well, I will actually let you go because at some point I have a photo shoot I got to get to. Cool. I got a couple hours, but
all right, man.
It was great chatting to you. I'll
stay in touch. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll see if I might have something on Thursday, but I'll see if I can't pop by the castle if you end up going.
Okay. Yeah. But there's no dialogue between you and listeners. Like you can't say like, comment here if you want to hear us get together again and actually talk about film.
No,
nothing. Or like YouTube in the comments below. There's no.
That's the thing is
Apple. There's not comments and reviews on the Apple podcast. Nothing.
Those mechanisms exist. No one seems to use them.
You're too good for them.
It's something I've thought about. Like
you're super niche, which is cool if you ask me.
Oh, it's super. I mean, how many? There's like 4 cinematography podcasts. And Ilya Friedman from Hot Rod has literally the cinematography podcast, yeah. So I'm assuming his SEO is nuts.
Yeah, I was on that like 7 years ago.
Yeah. That's one of the...
There's so many cinematographers now. There's so many new ones. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But that's definitely one that I listen to and go, all right, don't do that. That's fine. But yeah, I guess that's what we'll have to... If anyone makes it all the way to the end of this, let us know. Let us know what you want.
They don't know where to let you know, but
yeah, my email is so available.
No one does email, and comments have to be like anonymous and lost in the blur, like an Instagram or. Wait, are you on Instagram?
I am. Yeah. It's all
podcast?
Got one of those.
announcement of when you put a new thing on. Any comments there?
Nope. Every once in a while, other DPs who've been on the podcast, every once in a while get like a little flame emoji. Or like, oh, I worked with them.
Okay. Yeah, the newbies, you're right. The newbies, they're not going to care about any of this. Oh, well.
Yeah, I don't care. Here's the thing. I don't care if they care.
This has been my favorite interview. But
yeah, me too, honestly. Oh, fuck. All right. Well, yeah, we'll keep in touch. I'll let you go. It's about lunchtime anyway. I should get something to eat.
Oh, man.
Oh, right. Dude, are you, I'll cut this part out. Are you ever on the west side?
Yeah, occasionally, not a ton, but yeah. Why?
I live on Sawtell.
Oh.
It's all the best food in the world. So I was going to say next
Sawtell,
time.
I love it. I've been going there my whole life. So yeah, for sure. Najia. Najia is my jam. I go there all the time.
Najia is
a little strip mall.
It's a little market. Right. I blanked for a second. But you know what's funny? When I moved, so I was in college, went to film school, but I started working at Red Bull, so I can like abandon film for a minute. But then when I graduated, I didn't have a reel. So when I moved back to LA, this is like 2015. This is well after college. I stayed there for a while working at Red Bull. So 2015, I moved back to LA and I needed to shoot something. So I go to the Sujita, the annex, and I just go, can I film you talking about to the manager there, this dude named Daiki? I was like, can I just film you making ramen and then you talk about it? And he goes, yeah, sure. To this day, one of the like most viewed things I've ever made. And I'm still pretty proud of it. But like 4 years later, Sujita, the person, follows me on Instagram. And I was like, well, he saw that. Like, there's no way you just go randomly find. The man lives in Japan. He doesn't live
really
here. Like,
that's funny.
One day he was on YouTube and just went like, oh, cool, and followed me. And I was like, that's the best follow I've got on Instagram.
Wow.
The guy who makes the best ramen.
Yeah.
But yeah, moral of the story, next time you're in here, let me know. We'll just go grab lunch or something.
Yeah, for sure. I try to grab something to eat there like every so often. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. This is like, no, you hang up. All right. I'm going to go.
All right.
Great talking to you, brother.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Frame and Reference is an Owlbot production. It's produced and edited by me, Kenny McMillan, and distributed by Pro Video Coalition. If you'd like to support the podcast directly, you can do so by going to frameandrefpod.com and clicking the button to buy me a coffee. It's always appreciated. Thank you for listening, and especially listening to this one, because it was very long, because me and Larry clearly are cut from the same cloth, and I enjoy his company very much. I also wanted to give a shout out to Ed Moore for arranging our first meeting. We have since hung out since then, so it's weird. It's weird listening to the first conversation you have with someone that you've then had many conversations with later. But once again, thanks for listening, and do give us a shout if you have any comments, because it's fun to start a dialogue. Anyway, that's that for this podcast. You will hear or see us next week. Take care.